69 cases of COVID-19 reported, and 52 people lost their lives to the virus. The order itself has not been issued. Evers said only the mask mandate would be extended into January. No specific end date was offered. Partly cloudy skies throughout the area today with a high of 63 degrees, low of 40 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We appreciate everybody tuning into the political party. I am your favorite devil host, Dom Self. You got Fancy Brian on the board. Brian, good to have you back. Of course, Crudy's going to join us. Hey. Crudy's going to join us in the 3 o'clock hour, taking us all the way to 6 for the happier happy hour. And of course, you can always join us on the phones, 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Let's get to the updates on the coronavirus. Unfortunately, national news, can't miss this one. 250,000 deaths in this country due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a very grim milestone, and it doesn't seem to be abating anytime soon. Specifically here in the state of Wisconsin, DHS is reporting an additional 6,635 infections, lower from yesterday, testing down a bit as well at 19,220. My math says that is a 34.5% infection rate. Now, granted, terribly high, but both that percentage and the positives down from yesterday, but we are still way out of control with this.
Who would have thought that 6,600 was like, oh, yay!
Right, because
we're getting better.
It wasn't 8,000. It was 1,400 less than yesterday. Yay. But unfortunately, deaths up from yesterday. 83 additional dead. I think that's perhaps the second highest total we've had in the state of Wisconsin since the pandemic began, and another 236 folks hospitalized here in the state of Wisconsin. So CDC coming out, and mind you, this is this administration's CDC. This isn't the Biden administration CDC. This isn't the Barack Obama administration's CDC. This is the Trump administration's CDC. And according to The Hill, they are now saying public health experts urge Trump administration to move forward with presidential transition amid worsening pandemic. Oh, yeah. And by the way, please don't travel. Don't travel. Don't do the Thanksgiving. And this is going to suck. I mean, this is, Thanksgiving is literally next week. And, talking with my family, both my immediate family and extended family, everyone's having this conversation. What are we doing? How are we going to try to manage this? And can we go and just, perhaps schedule the test, get the test and try to get it all in, and we can all isolate after the test and, hopefully go and hang out with each other. It's just not a wise thing to do. And so I think like a lot of people, we as a family are going to have to sit tight. There's not going to be the extended family. Pops isn't going to be rolling in from Detroit, and Mom's not coming down, and all sorts of things are not going to happen this year.
Yeah, but I'm going to get more turkey skin.
More for you now.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, look, you're still going to be able to talk to your family and friends. You're still going to be able to have the day, stay with the people that you've been pretty much with this whole time. Everyone's got their own group of folks. These are my COVID people that I'm okay with, that I can, because look, you're going to put yourself at risk no matter what you do, because things are out there, but you want to limit your liability. You want to limit your exposure, basically, to a few people that you trust and hang out
I mean,
with.
aren't we all gonna miss our crazy drunk uncle snoozing away during the football game?
Well, you can put him on Zoom and send a picture of him, take a video of it, and send it around.
We can watch him sleep on Zoom.
Yeah, why not? Look, I get it. I'm not saying that I'm not poo-pooing any large gatherings, the joy of which, but just, it's going to be okay. You can talk to each other otherwise, and you can make smaller amounts of food for the people that you're with, and be thankful that the people that are around you don't have COVID.
Fella, except in your case. Well, I mean, and what did we hear during the campaign? It was Donald Trump out there accusing Joe Biden. Well, if Joe Biden gets elected, what? No more Christmas, right? No air conditioning, no heat. Had all sorts of things. Well, we are literally talking about right now canceling Thanksgiving.
We're not canceling it. We're just doing it at home, like separate home. It's just smaller meals with a smaller group of people. It's the same darn. Nobody's taking it away. You can still say Thanksgiving, man.
You can. We can still say Thanksgiving.
Yes.
All right.
There's no war on Thanksgiving.
I was afraid that Joe Biden was going to get rid of the word Thanksgiving, and now Donald Trump, he's here to rescue us. Briefly from NBCNews.com, Erica Edwards. Americans should avoid travel for Thanksgiving, the CDC recommended Thursday. It was a last-minute attempt by the nation's leading public health agency to curb what's sure to be yet another dangerous spike in COVID-19 cases if families gather next week. Here is a quote. In the last week, we've seen over 1 million new cases. Let's just pause on that for a minute. 1 million new cases in the last week, according to Aaron Schatz, head of the CDC's Community Interventions and Critical Population Task Force, said Thursday on a call with reporters. And of course, Thanksgiving is a week away. On a side note, my understanding, the coronavirus task force will be having some sort of presser today. I couldn't find any details on that. Brian, if you see something, hear something, certainly please let me know. Perhaps we would go to that at some point this afternoon. Maybe. And if we're lucky, maybe the bleach injector in chief will show up and wow us with his wisdom. Still from the NBC News. Still, the CDC stopped short of mandating that Americans refrain from traveling. Much like here in Wisconsin, it's just a recommendation. Yes, here's the quote. It's not a requirement. It's a recommendation for the American public to consider. Dr. Henry Walk, the CDC COVID-19 incident manager, said on the call, right now, especially as we're seeing this sort of exponential growth in cases and the opportunity to translocate disease or infection from one part of the country to another, it leads to our recommendation to avoid travel at this time. For Americans who do choose to travel, the CDC advised doing so as safely as possible by following the same everyday recommendations from the agency, they said. Those include, of course, wearing a mask in public places and on public transportation, social distancing, socialist social distancing, and washing hands frequently.
What does socialist social distancing mean? I have to ask.
Well, it's that evil, government telling you what to do.
You control the means of social distancing?
Means and supply of social distancing. In updated guidance posted online Thursday, the agency also advises that anyone who has not lived in the household during the 2 weeks ahead of the holiday stay in a separate area of the house with a designated bathroom if possible, wear a mask while indoors. That includes college students or members of the military returning home for the holidays. Other CDC guidance for Thanksgiving. Let's remember, this is the Trump administration's governmental, taxpayer-funded CDC guidance for all of you out there. Having guests bring their own food, drinks, plates, and utensils. BYOB, baby. That always gets them together. Offering disposable food containers as well as single-use salad dressing and condiment packets. Avoid congregating in the kitchen as much as possible.
Turn your home into a restaurant?
and avoid congregating in the kitchen. I mean, isn't that where lots and lots of people kind of always seem to collect around? It smells good. There's action going on in there. People are running around cooking things. No congregation, according to the Trump administration. I'm just going to put it that way from now on. Hosting gatherings outside with as few people as possible. Beautiful day here in Wisconsin in the 60s. Not sure we're going to be able to keep that up till next week, but certainly a possibility. And clearly explaining mitigation efforts with guests ahead of time. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go over well with some of these Trumpsters. And again, this is obviously a divided country, politically speaking, at the very least. So you're going to have families, of course, that are going to have different thoughts on what is actually occurring with regards to the pandemic in this country. And I don't, while I certainly appreciate this, these are seemingly common sense guidance from the CDC, but I'm not sure that, telling your crazy uncle that he's got to wear a mask if he comes over, that he's got to bring his own food if he comes over, that he's got to stay out of the kitchen if he's comes over. Oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to have some of this outside. I mean, some people may end up just kind of not showing up anyway, which hopefully that's the whole point, right? We want to control, we want to limit the spread of this virus.
Stick with the people that are not licking doorknobs and enjoy yourself. Have a smaller Thanksgiving. You got two choices here as far as a movie goes. If you're going to make this into a movie, either it's going to be the episode where you're stuck in a fridge and you have to remember all the rest of the episodes, and you can do that this Thanksgiving and remember all the other Thanksgivings you have, or you can do the multi-dramatic route and create your own new traditions and your new a new thing with the small amount of people that you have.
An opportunity.
It's an opportunity to do something new.
Traditions, perhaps, right?
Exactly.
Right?
You've got a whole bunch of cool things you can do.
The cup is half full, Brian.
And there's no Thanksgiving police for all those people who want to freak out. Oh my God, the police are going to come knock on my door and tell my grandma she's got to leave. It's not going to happen that way.
That's not going to happen. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to ignore this administration, the Trump administration's CDC guidance on Thanksgiving. And this is going to be a fair amount of conservatives out there, the non-believers, the hoax types, QAnon types. Hell, they got family. They all got to eat as well. And I'm not clear that the message has been consistent enough, even though this is the Trump administration, this is Trump's CDC coming through with this guidance. Trump's not going to listen to it. Why the hell would any of his followers? But for all of us logical, reasonable people out there, yeah, it's going to be different this year. Let's, put your head together, create, as Brian and I have talked about, perhaps some new traditions. Zoom it up if you have to. We're on the tail end of this. We have a couple of vaccines that are already proving to be pretty damn good. Got to get them finally tested. Got to get them out distributed. Got to get them injected. So we're on the tail end. But, we got the holiday seasons and it's getting cold. We're going to have to use our heads and do the best we can with the time we got. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Come back with your phone calls and more news out of the state of Michigan. 844-967-2789. Stay safe.
It ain't cool being no jive turkey so close to Thanksgiving.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
This is Tony with Quality CBD. We are located on Willie Street across from the co-op. At Quality CBD, we are vertically integrated. From soil to oil and seed to sale, we grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute quality CBD oil. We also have contact-free delivery options at qualitycbd.org. Quality CBD. Legal, local, legit.
The Lazy Wolf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Wolf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazywolflounge.com.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
You guys are getting it done.
You boys are the light of my day, and I've been listening to you for many years.
I love you guys. You're the greatest thing that has happened to Wisconsin radio.
If it wasn't for your radio program and getting out the vote, who knows?
I got to give you guys so many props.
I'm pretty sure your guys' radio station had a direct impact on that.
You're welcome, everybody, and thank you. With better reception than new tinfoil hats, why listen to any other station? 92.7 FM and WGTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for Devil Radio.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open at 844-967-2789. 250,000 dead from COVID in this country. And I don't see the Republicans doing a whole lot about it. As mentioned yesterday here in the state of Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers announced he plans to extend the state's emergency declaration and the mask mandate. We had some question about how long that would last. According to the Wisconsin State Journal, that apparently will go until mid-January. So that's what we have going on here in the state of Wisconsin. Also, another update from, well, I guess it was the Trump rally last weekend in the city of Milwaukee at Serb Hall. Milwaukee Health Department staffers facing death threats, writes Mary Spikuza from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and online doxing over enforcement of coronavirus orders. And in some cases, people have shown up looking for workers, city officials said Thursday. What?
The use the back the badge people.
Do we need to make a new version of the American flag with a line in it for health?
We honor our heroes. Well, wear your mask. Screw you.
We respect the frontline workers. Go to hell. You can't tell us what to do. The Sentinel reported this week on death threats that staffers received after attempting to enforce the city's order aimed at combating the spread of COVID-19 during a rally on Saturday. Held by supporters of Donald Trump outside Serb Hall in Milwaukee. Yeah, you think? But it appears the threat, which said, me and my friends will be at the rest of the rallies. If you health chumps show up, you'll be leaving in body bags. Apparently that was not an isolated incident.
They must be part of Cobra Kai. I was about to say, put him in a body bag.
Put him in a body bag.
Yeah.
That actor passed away recently, didn't he?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he did. Oh, wow. I got one that you didn't know there, Fancy Brian.
I heard that rumor. I think you may have told me that last week, though. That's why I wasn't sure.
A quote from, let's see, Jeff Fleming, department spokesman. Recently, a number of incidents have occurred that have caused the Milwaukee Health Department to become increasingly concerned about the safety and well-being of its employees. Yeah, well, really, you're going to leave in a body bag? I mean, that's a problem. They've received death
fine
threats.
People. They're just very stressed out right now.
Have actively had their identities circulated over social media and posts or comments promoting aggressive acts, and had two individuals appear at a MHD location requesting access to such health department staff. Milwaukee Police Department is investigating the threats, and Mayor Tom Barrett announced that Milwaukee police officers will now accompany city health inspectors responding to all complaints about COVID-19 safety violations after the inspectors at Trump's pro-Trump rally were pushed and harassed. Pushed and harassed. That sounds like assaulted to me, but sure, they were pushed and harassed. Now think about what a monumental waste of resources this is. To pair up some Milwaukee police officers with the health department? Well, we don't have enough problems going on in this world right now that we got to provide safety, armed escorts for our health department? Come on, people. What are you doing?
Look, I know that some restaurants have a problem with the health department, but if you have a general idea that you're clean and you have a decent relationship with them and don't tell them to go F themselves, you'll probably pass your inspection. Maybe if you don't push them and shove them, they'll just probably say, maybe you should disperse. And then they'll just leave, and then you can just re-disperse.
What about the law and order? I mean, aren't these the same law and order types? Oh,
yes.
That's right. Oh, okay. How is it that the law and order conservatives can so embrace harassment, assault, and death threats? You know, it's against the law to threaten to kill somebody. You realize that, right? Law and order, folks. You get that? The thin blue line, folks. Now you're going to have what? The cops go along with the DHS? Wow, what a quandary you must be in. How do you back the badge and the thin blue line and also want to kill the health department officials? How do you balance those things when all these people are going to be all together now? It just goes to show the hypocrisy of your beliefs, if that were a thing, the hypocrisy of your actions, because all you're doing is following your cult leader. 844-967-2789. Mark from the Sack, you're up today. Happy days, man. What do you got for us?
Oh, sorry that I was taking a swallow of water. That it's just horrifying that these guys, public employees are getting death threats. If it's not bad enough, that these guys are in the front lines anyway, and they're getting death threats from these yahoos that are supposedly law and order. It just, and these are the same clowns that probably kind of chuckle a little bit about the death threats that the governor of Michigan got, and apparently there's 200 people involved in this cabal that they had plan A, plan B, and plan C. I mean, that.
Right. Mark, I haven't gotten into that, but yeah, my understanding, some more detail has come out with regards to the attempted kidnapping or plot to kidnap the governor of the great state of Michigan.
Yeah, they're going to burn down the Capitol with all the people in it. I mean, it just. I mean, and Trump hasn't come out and condemned these people. He simply hasn't come down and condemned terrorist activities. I mean, it's terrorism pure and simple. I mean, and as far as these death threats go, you call in and make a death threat, your ass should be in jail.
I mean, come on, people. Mark, thanks for the call, man. Yes, absolutely. This is already against the law. You have the law and order types breaking the law in order to what? To back up their law and order philosophy that you can't tell me what to do, government. No one's telling you what to do. Right?
Yeah.
Didn't Robin Voss say, we can rely on the goodwill of all people. They don't need to be told what to do. They'll do the right thing, Brian.
They don't believe in government, but they believe in backing the badge and the military, which is part of the government, but the government doesn't work, which is why we spend most of our money on that. But I think they're just mad and have guns. I think that's really just what it comes down to.
Well, they're mad. They're mad. No doubt about it. Here again in Wisconsin, another 83 dead and no reaction from the Republicans. A plan for a plan. We mentioned Detroit, the election. What's going on? We'll get to it after this break. Once again, 844-967-2789. What the hell is going on in my home state, my born state of Michigan?
We have to bring back law and order.
They deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive news talk from Black Earth to Columbus. Always streaming at DARNWI.com.
Dave from Community PC here. Now more than ever, we're relying on our computers to stay connected with family and friends. Looking for that perfect holiday gift for a family member who struggles with keeping everything up to date? Every day, more and more people are discovering the peace of mind that comes from a Tech Protect plan from Community PC. And it makes the perfect gift for anyone you need to stay connected with. Check out COMMPC.com to learn more. That's COMMPC.com. Community PC. We know what makes computers happy.
Senator Ron Johnson talking about staying out of bars. How does that pair with your thought that schools should reopen in the fall? You got a room full of school students or a room full of bar patrons. What's the difference?
Because schools, students, it's rare, very rare to have them have a very serious medical effect from COVID.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
You shouldn't have older school teachers or school teachers.
Donahue with an AP News Minute. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention begs Americans not to travel for Thanksgiving. The CDC's Dr. Erin Sauber-Schatz says the plea comes after more than 1 million new virus cases were reported over the last week. She says the safest way to celebrate Thanksgiving is at home with people in your household. If college students or members of the military are coming home, the CDC suggests keeping things outdoors if possible, with people 6 feet apart and wearing masks with just one person serving the food. In New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio says this surge is serious.
Unfortunately, we now know that over 250,000 Americans have lost their lives during the COVID crisis. And it's important to pause and reflect on that. 250,000 of our fellow Americans gone just in the course of months.
De Blasio says more coronavirus restrictions are on the way in New York. I'm Ed Donahue.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Thursday, November 19th. The 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats on the Wisconsin Elections Commission clashed repeatedly in a late-night virtual meeting as they tried to establish guidelines spelling out how clerks should conduct the recount during the COVID-19 pandemic. At 11:30 p.m., after 5.5 hours of debate, the commission unanimously approved the recount. But the commissioner's inability to get along suggested the recount will be brutal and will likely end in a courtroom. The Wisconsin Education Association Council is asking the state for uniform rules about when schools should close. WEAC noted that some districts appear to make opening decisions not based on health metrics, but on community pressure. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. The political party happens here. You can join it at 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Fancy Brian, call me audible, man. Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
Was this some Sponge?
Yeah, it's Sponge.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure I heard this for the first time on 89X, which is now going out of business, or they're changing their format.
I know, man. So when I was, no, Brian, you were living in Detroit, or at least Michigan, you know, the burbs area for a while. How long were you there?
Mid-90s for a couple of years. My family still lives there. My dad and mom still live there. My sister does too. She lives in Ferndale.
Yeah.
Then I went to I went there for 2 years of high school, and then I went to Western Michigan. So I kind of had 2 years of roots there, and then I, came back and forth.
All right, so I was there mid-90s as well. So you and I were pounding some of the same ground there. And the music, man, I love the mid-90s rock and roll scene in Detroit was a lot of fun. And you're right, 89X, I think that was a Canadian station, right? That we would get
I believe
in the States
so.
there.
If not, it's I might be confusing it with the one out of Ann Arbor, but
30 years of alternative rock and roll this particular station has been playing. And now I saw the news today. I was reading the Detroit Free Press trying to get a handle on the shenanigans that's going on in Wayne County in Michigan. And I saw the headline, 89X, they're just flipping formats. And hell, you know how radio is, that can happen. And they said, you're not going to like it. they
Great.
literally kind of, project
What a
little
slogan.
bit.
Check us out. Listen to us. You're not going to like it.
And then came out that they've gone country. Gone country.
They predicted correctly.
Oh, no. So here we are. One of my favorite rock and roll radio stations in Detroit gone country. And the Republicans in Detroit going out of their freaking mind.
Well, at least they got a country station, so good for them.
Oh, good for
That's
them.
their consolation prize. They took a fun liberal station or quote unquote, and then turn it into country. Have a consolation prize. Just no Trump as president. See you, bye.
Oh, there is a tear in my beer, Fancy Brian. So we've talked in the last couple of days, yesterday. Great show. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you go listen to the podcast, diamondcroot.com. You can download the podcast and interviews there. Mark Thompson, Wisconsin Elections Commission. They had an all-nighter last night. He was on the show. Perhaps we'll reach out to Mark, see if we can get an update from him as well. And investigative reporter Greg Palast, a fine investigative reporter, joining us on the show as well, talking briefly about some of these issues. But it's been going so quick, it's hard to kind of keep up. So in doing some research on where to find the best summary of what's been going on in the last, call it 48 hours now, in Detroit, found this at the New York Times, and I want to share it with our fine audience right now. The headline from the live version, the presidential transition live updates. The Times, love this. Trump invites state lawmakers to White House in bid to subvert election. Way to go, New York Times.
Did he write it in formal script? Was it like calligraphy? We formally invite you to collude in the election.
I think that's like a Raw Story headline, man, not the New York Times, but actually that's what they said. Trump invites state lawmakers to White House in bid to subvert election. What? You got my attention. And here we go. Two Republican elections official in Wayne County, Michigan, home to Detroit, tried to decertify results there, but cannot legally do so. And the Trump's campaign assault on voting in several states that President-elect Joe Biden won took on new intensity as deadlines for finalizing results approached. Again, the point, Trump tries to subvert election, inviting the Michigan GOP lawmakers to the White House after failing repeatedly in court to overturn election results. President Trump has taken the extraordinary step of reaching out directly to Republican state legislators as he tries to subvert the Electoral College process, inviting Michigan lawmakers to meet with him
He's
at the
trying
White
to
House
speak
on
to the manager.
Friday.
He's trying to get the manager to come out and maybe change the decision.
Is
No,
it
you can't
President
return
Karen?
it. No, you can't return it, Karen Trump.
Wow. Trump contacted the Republican majority leader in the Michigan State Senate to issue the invitation. According to a person briefed on the invitation, it's not clear how many Michigan lawmakers will be making the trip to Washington, nor precisely what Mr. Trump plans to say to the lawmakers. The president has made few public appearances since the election, and his daily schedule often has no events on it, despite the worsening coronavirus pandemic. Pandemic? What pandemic? The White House invitation to Republican lawmakers in a battleground state is the latest and most brazen, salvo in a scattershot campaign after the campaign waged by Mr. Trump and his allies to cast doubt on President-elect Biden's decisive victory. Ooh, decisive. It comes as the Trump campaign and its allies have been seeking to overturn the results of the election in multiple states through lawsuits and intrusions into the state vote certification process, often targeting cities like Detroit, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Atlanta with large and politically powerful Black populations. Well, doesn't that just say it all, Republicans? Mr. Trump himself reached out personally to at least one election official in Wayne County, Michigan, home of Detroit, who tried to decertify the results there. Now, in conversations with Crudy earlier today, my understanding, there's also reporting that he reached out to the other Republican Wayne County election official as well. The New York Times goes on. Some members of Mr. Trump's team have promoted the legally dubious theory that friendly legislators could, under certain scenarios, effectively subvert the popular vote and send their own pro-Trump delegations to the Electoral College. The Michigan Senate leader who received Mr. Trump's invitation, Mike Shirkey, said in an interview earlier this week with Bridge, Michigan, a local news outlet, that the legislature would not move to appoint its own slate of electors, stating that's not going to happen. Well, that was before you were invited to the White House, before the pressure comes on from the Grand Poobah.
I didn't know they were going to use
Shirky.
calligraphy. I mean, that's formal.
I mean, when it's so fancy. Like
a trip? Do I get a free trip and a meal? Do I get a plus one?
Maybe a couple meals.
Do I get a plus one?
You're a state official. It's the airlines. Who pays for that, right?
Do they use real beef in this Big Mac?
Where's the beef? The statewide canvassing board, a bipartisan 4-member panel, is responsible for certifying Michigan's election results by a Monday deadline. Monday! Trump wants them there on Friday, a step that must take place before any move could be made to change the electors. One of the Republican members of the board, Norm Schinkel, said in an interview Thursday that he was coming under enormous pressure regarding his vote, which he said was complicated by a late-night announcement from the two Republicans on the 4-member canvassing board in Wayne County, which includes Detroit, that they wanted to rescind their votes to certify the county's results. So first they didn't want to vote, and then they voted, and now they want to rescind those votes. Why would that happen? What could possibly have happened? Let's continue on. The New York Times. Mr. Trump reached out Tuesday night to one of those Republicans, Monica Palmer, to thank her for her support, according to two people briefed on the call. Ms. Palmer and the other Republican board member, William Hartman, again, Crudy has seen reporting that he's also was called by the president, had initially refused to certify election results before relenting Tuesday night after a public outcry and accusations that they were trying to disenfranchise voters in Detroit, which is more than 3/4 black. Ms. Palmer and Mr. Hartman are white, but of course they are. On Tuesday, Mr. Shirky condemned threats of violence received by members of the Wayne County Board of Electors, and he indicated that the legislature would conduct their own investigation, but that it was not its place to resolve questions about the election. Quote, additional concerns have been brought before the courts, which is the proper place to resolve questions of legality surrounding the state elections process. The Republicans sought to rescind the certification votes they had cast on Tuesday night through affidavits released late Wednesday night. Okay, so they voted on Tuesday. First, they weren't going to. Then they voted and agreed to do it. And then late Wednesday night, they issue some affidavits and try to rescind that vote. Well, here's the key. I'll just start it over just so I'm very clear on what the reporting is. The Republicans sought to rescind the certification votes they had cast on Tuesday night through affidavits released late Wednesday night, roughly 24 hours after Mr. Trump had spoken with Ms. Palmer. Wow. So a little harassment, right? They're not going to do it. The Republicans on the 4-member commission, 2 Dems, 2 Republicans. No, we're not going to do it. Pressure comes up. What are you doing? You're disenfranchising people. You got no issues. Well, I'm not going to say no issues. They claim they have issues, but that's another story. So finally, they decide, okay, under this relenting pressure, if that's what you call it, they decide to, yes, certify the vote Tuesday night. Then the president calls to offer support. Oh, what a nice guy. Now, let's also think about who this man is. The narcissistic psychopath that occupies the White House. I mean, has he called any of the 250,000 people's families who have died? Has he done that? He may have. I don't know. This is not a rhetorical question. My point being is this is not a man who offers condolences to people. This is not a man who oozes empathy. He's a narcissist. This is a man who does everything for himself. And anything that would even be perceived to be an altruistic outreach for whatever reason is ultimately, if nothing else, just leverage for this man to cash in and take advantage of later. So Tuesday night they vote, the Republicans get a call, and 24 hours later they try to rescind that vote.
That stuff happens in like Batman, when like the crime syndicate owns and everybody knows about it, and the crime syndicate owns the politicians, and they voted one way, then they got a visit, and the next thing you know, they changed their minds. What could have happened?
Brian, there is no legal mechanism for them to rescind their votes. Tracy Wimmer, a spokeswoman for Michigan's top election official, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, said on Thursday, their job is done, and the next step in the process is for the board state of canvassers to meet and certify. That meeting, as mentioned, is scheduled for Monday. The Trump campaign's lead election lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, what? Let's just say that one again as well. I mean, there's so much information. The Trump campaign's lead election lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, lead election lawyer as of when? Like Tuesday? Announced Thursday morning that the campaign was withdrawing a federal suit it filed seeking to stop the certification results in Wayne County. The campaign attached the affidavits to the dismissal notice. Biden won nearly 95% of the vote in Detroit. 95% in the city of Detroit went for Biden. Shocking. And about 70% of the vote in Wayne County, winning Michigan by more than 150,000 votes. After Palmer and Hartman initially refused to certify the election results over slight discrepancies in majority black precincts, while ignoring similar problems in heavily white areas of the county where Mr. Biden won a far smaller share of the vote, public outcry ensued. Wow, you think? With 300 voters and civil rights leaders on a Zoom call expressing outrage. Hours later, Palmer and Hartman changed course and voted to certify. But in their affidavits the next day, after the phone call from Trump, they effectively said that they had been bullied into voting for the certification and that they did not believe the Democrats on the board were following through with their promise to ensure an independent audit of the Wayne County results. The announcement that the Republicans attempt to rescind their certification votes arrived in a news release from a Virginia-based public relations firm that has been paid millions for consulting work for Trump's campaign and whose founder, Mark Serrano, has been a frequent television defender of the president. With the withdrawal of the Wayne County suit, the Trump campaign and its Republican supporters have now lost or withdrawn from all of their legal major actions in Michigan. Every one of them, although the state Supreme Court is still considering an appeal of the lower court decision not to halt the certification of Wayne County's results. So let's just put it out there. Pressure from the top, man. Oh, yeah, he called. We have some reporting of one of the persons receiving the call, Palmer, and what she says. We'll get to that as well, and perhaps more of your phone calls. Shenanigans by the Republicans in Detroit. Don't take that, Detroit. Motown, stand up, push back. We are the Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789.
There was no quid pro quo.
Biden won because of you. Because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired. Because you knew that your vote is power. Because you understood what was at stake. And because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, Dom, is your carpeting starting to have a little bit of a funk to it?
That's a bit of a personal question, Rudy.
No, I know this is really busy time for one of our sponsors, Zero Res of Madison. People want a cleaner, healthier home.
You mean spending the entire quarantine locked in with bacteria and allergens isn't healthy? Who knew?
You want to get it professionally cleaned well before it gets funky. Even if you vacuum frequently.
I vacuum a lot.
You still need to get it professionally cleaned. Schedule your carpet cleaning online at ZeroResMadison.com. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
First, the Devil's Advocates made radio great again. Now the Devil's Advocates are making radio greater again. The Devil's Advocates are expanding the greatest radio show ever from 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Dom and Fancy Brian will kick off the political party at 2. Crudy will help you celebrate the 5 o'clock happy hour. More snark, more politics, more callers, more Devil's Advocates. Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. only on Devil Radio and always streaming live at DARNWI.com.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Thom Hartmann program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM. And that's pretty cool.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back, and before listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, phone lines always open at 844-967-2789. Crudy going to join us at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Wanted to kind of put a bow on the pressure that's going on in Detroit from this president to the local Republicans, and how terrible this really is. I mean, this is basically a mob boss, reaching down to the street level guys and gals and, give them a pat on the back. And now he's going to invite some of the lawmakers to the White House on Friday before the certification is supposed to happen on this coming Monday.
Yeah, well, they get those presidential pictures, This isn't the cardboard cutout you get when you get to Trump University.
Oh, see?
This is the real deal, Trump in the White House, using it to make sure that he wins the next election by bribing electors with a picture with him and maybe some Big Mac meals. How nice.
Bribing, threatening,
but then it was the Democrats. It was the Democrats that bullied them, but they changed their minds within 24 hours after a phone call from the most notorious bully on earth.
That is a great observation, Brian. Say that again, if you would, please.
So the Republicans in Michigan are claiming that they switched their ideas because they were bullied initially by the Democrats. But they changed their minds within 24 hours after a phone call from one of the most notorious bullies in the entire world. That makes no sense whatsoever. And I just have one more question.
It sounds like you don't believe it there, Columbo.
I'm having excuse me, I'm having a hard time here.
From the Washington Post, just a little bit of this to kind of give you some context of what Palmer had to say. They review that earlier this week, Trump called a Wayne County Board of Canvassers, member of the Wayne County Board of Canvassers, after contentious hearing in which she first refused and agreed to certify election results from the state's largest county. She subsequently released an affidavit seeking to rescind the vote, a move that the Secretary of State's office said was impossible. Legal experts condemned the president's actions, saying he was trying to use the power of his office to alter the vote. No, hell, even non-legal experts like me are saying that. Here's a quote from Richard Pilds, a constitutional law professor at New York University. To bring the weight of the White House and the presidency onto an individual county canvassing board commissioner about what to do with certification is an incredible assault on the democratic process. No question about that. Joanna Lidgate, the national director of the voter protection program, said that there is no basis in fact or law for failing to certify the election. The president's unpatriotic behavior is reaching new heights with summoning the state legislative officials to the White House. But the legislature has no role in certification, as its leaders have already publicly admitted. This raises serious legal and ethical concerns about the president's conduct, but it will not alter the outcome of the election. I'm going to jump down here briefly so we can get to what the canvasser, the commissioner said. Palmer is her name. Let's see. In Michigan, the high watermark for Trump's efforts so far came Tuesday night during an hours-long meeting with the Board of Canvassers. The board's 2 GOP members voted against certifying. We know this, but then after 3 hours of angry comments from the public, the 2 GOP members changed their minds and voted to certify the results. After the meeting, Trump called Monica Palmer. Palmer said that Trump did not pressure her to change her vote. His concern was about my safety, and that was really touching. He's a really busy guy, and to have his concern about my safety was appreciated. She told the Post. It was not pressure. It was genuine concern for my safety. Right. After that, however, Palmer and the board
from a guy who's never showed concern about the safety of any other human being on earth. But anyway,
right. I mean, what was it like? Hey, I understand you voted against and then you voted for it, and I'm really concerned about your safety.
I'm very concerned about your safety because if you don't decertify, there's a good chance there may something be happening to you, but I don't know. I can't say that for certain. I'm just concerned. That's why I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I'd hate to see anything happen to you. I'm very concerned about your safety.
It would be a shame.
It'd be a shame. It'd be a crying shame. I mean, think of your family. What would your family say? What would they do if something ever happened to you? God forbid something.
No. I'm just bringing it up because I care.
We care about you and your family. No.
Never mind Rocco in the background. He's fine. He does know where your son goes to school, though. Just for his own safety.
Just
letting you know, Miss Palmer, from this exact address that you live at.
And Hartman, the other Republican, signed a similar affidavit, according to the person familiar with the document. Again, I have to reiterate, apparently Hartman got a phone call from Trump as well. 844-967-2789. So there you go.
Real quick, I just if we accept the idea that he has, let's say, foreign governments like, let's say, Russia leaning on him, or possibly, he's got debts that are due next year that he might possibly
he's got some headwinds, perhaps.
Yeah, but possibly from a mob thing. Like, would we be able to classify this as like Russian interference? I mean, if he's just doing what they're asking him to do anyway.
Right. If he's being pressured from outside, foreign sources to maintain his power, it certainly could be. Why not?
Throwing it out there, maybe. It'd be a shame. It'd be a shame.
It'd be a shame if anything ever happened to those Republican commissioners, right, Trump? 844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, you are up. Happy Thursday, my friend. What do you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Dom and Brian. Hey, at this point, you have to believe the Republican Party does not like people of color because of the places they're going after, Detroit, Milwaukee, and right on down the line. But that being said, now I can go home every day, turn the news on, and there's a body count on the pandemic, and there's no end in sight. It's just unbelievable. And what is Trump doing? He's in the bunker. He's not even going to briefing. So this whole thing is just a crazy train, Dom and Brian, and I don't know where we're headed here. I just, you get to the point where you just go, this can't even be happening.
Wow. Paul, it is, though. We can't, of course, we are not Trumpsters, my friend. We cannot deny reality. This is absolutely happening, and it's happening before our very eyes. And we've been, shocked to such a degree that we're almost used to it. It's like abuse. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. And we get to the point where, God, if he doesn't do something, well, it's like we're saved. No, this is obviously the president, reaching out, calling both the Republican canvassers, they changed their mind, inviting Michigan legislators to the White House on Friday. Certification is supposed to happen on Monday. What will happen? What are the Republican leaders saying? Is this wise? We know what some of the legal experts say. Hell, you know what Dom and Brian think. What a bunch of BS. How could you possibly fold under some pressure? Is there some benefit to this? Is there an upside for you to change your vote? Did he bribe you? But she couldn't remember the call because it was about 2 minutes and there was just so much adrenaline going on. I'm calling malarkey. We are the Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789. Rudy joining us at the top of the three. You are always welcome. Stick around. We will be right back.
I don't know if this sends a message. It doesn't make any difference if it does or not.
That's a message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fish.
Yeah, I guess why not?
5nines, your local single source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5nines.com.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever. You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. 1 week before Thanksgiving, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is pleading with Americans to stay home for Thanksgiving. Don't travel. The CDC's Dr. Aaron Salber-Schatz cited more than 1 million new coronavirus cases in the U.S. over the past week as the reason for the new guidance. If families do decide to get together, the CDC guidance is outdoor gatherings if possible, with people 6 feet apart and wearing masks and just one person serving the food. With coronavirus cases spiking, lines are growing to get tested for the virus. Scott Becker is the CEO of the Association of Public Health Laboratories. He says this may result in more delays.
As those cases increase, demand increases, turnaround time may increase. So it's like a dog chasing its tail, quite frankly.
A woman whose elderly father died in England in a care home won the first stage of a lawsuit against the British government over alleged failures to protect nursing home residents during the pandemic. President Trump summoned Michigan's Republican leaders to the White House. The AP's Sagar Magani reports he's pushing the state to overturn Joe Biden's certification as the winner in Michigan.
Two people familiar with the matter say the president has invited Michigan Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey and House Speaker Lee Chatfield to visit the White House tomorrow, and a state leader says the men agreed to go. It's unclear what the meeting will be about, but the state legislature would be called to pick electors if the president's able to keep Michigan from certifying Biden's win. Both men, though, have indicated they will not try to overturn the victory. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Fashion designer Massimo Giannulli reported to prison to begin serving his 5-month sentence for bribing his daughter's way into college. His wife, Full House actress Lori Loughlin, is already behind bars for her role in the college admissions bribery scandal. Stock indexes are mixed. This is AP News.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
This is Tony with Quality CBD. We are located on Willie Street across from the co-op. At Quality CBD, we are vertically integrated. From soil to oil and seed to sale, we grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute quality CBD oil. We also have contact-free delivery options at qualitycbd.org. Quality CBD. Legal, local, legit.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for the Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Thursday, November 19th. After sparking confusion about what exactly is not allowed under a new order issued Tuesday, Public Health Madison and Dane County clarified Wednesday that its new ban on mass indoor gatherings effectively means residents are barred from getting together indoors with anybody they don't live with, no matter the size of the group. The order that went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday continues all of the previous restrictions announced in September, including a mask mandate and limiting business capacity to 50%. President Donald Trump's campaign on Wednesday triggered a recount in heavily Democratic Dane and Milwaukee counties, alleging a host of irregularities despite state officials denying any evidence of widespread problems. Partly cloudy skies throughout the area today, high of 63 degrees, low of 40 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, happy Thursday to you, my little buddy.
Hey, Crudy, happy Friday Eve, my friend.
You know, I'm quite excited. Topically, it's this show, chock full of goodness, man. It's going to be an excellent show. I can feel it right now. The president, he was tweeting out earlier today, and let me add, I just got to the president's Twitter stream, and today is the greatest day in righty-whitey talker Dan O'Donnell's life. He has been retweeted by President Donald Trump.
No.
Yeah. Trump retweeted Dan O'Donnell. You know, some conspiracy about Trump's election outcome being stolen from him. Absentee ballots, all that kind of stuff. Dan O'Donnell must be quite proud of himself. Another one, Trump tweeted 39 minutes ago, they withdrew the Michigan lawsuit. And Trump tweets, we withdrew because we won. We withdrew because we won.
Well, yeah, I mean, he won the election too. And he and he has no idea who Stormy Daniels is. And, he doesn't know who was I mean, come on, this guy is the king of gaslighting.
A little bit more from Trump on his Twitter stream. Lawyer now on at Newsmax at OANN and maybe Fox News. An open and shut case of voter fraud, massive numbers. And that, of course, has been flagged already by Twitter as apparently being less than, completely credible. But here's the one I was looking for 8 hours ago. Donald J. Trump tweeting out to the world, a couple of them. Voter fraud in Detroit is rampant and has been for many years. That one was flagged by Twitter as, being a claim about election fraud that is not credible. Above and beyond that, he tweeted, important news conference today by lawyers on a very clear and viable path to victory. Pieces are very nicely falling into place. RNC at noon. So there was a little press conference going on today, and Trump promised some very big things. And you always know it's going to be a big day when Rudy Giuliani leads him out to the podium. And I've got an article that I think best surmises Rudy's appearance. Found it at the Raw Story, Dom.
Of course you did.
Rudy Giuliani acts out scene from My Cousin Vinny at press conference to claim Biden stole the election.
Those two Utes stole the election?
Apparently. Are we the two Utes? Rudy Giuliani.
How far were the defendants from you when you saw them entering the sack of suds?
Do you know that is the very scene that Rudy Giuliani reenacted at a presser today? I read from the finest of sources, the Raw Story. Rudy Giuliani resorted to acting out a scene from the movie My Cousin Vinny on Thursday in an effort to convince reporters that President-elect Joe Biden had illegally won the election. Or as Donald Trump would say, the viable path to re-election for Donald Trump. Here's a quote. He's telling a story. Did you watch My Cousin Vinny? Giuliani asked a group of reporters in D.C. You know, the movie. It's one of my favorite law movies because he comes from Brooklyn. Now, first and foremost, I wouldn't exactly call My Cousin Vinny a law movie. I mean, you know, a little courtroom.
There is a courtroom, man. There is an attorney.
But Joe Pesci, not exactly known for the excellence of his representation.
Much like Rudy Giuliani.
Very much so. And the nice lady who said she saw the crime, and then he says to her, how many fingers
am I holding up?
How many fingers do I got up? And she says, 3. Well, she was too far away, he continues, comparing the witness in the movie to the Republican poll watchers. These people were further away than My Cousin Vinny was from the witness. They couldn't see a thing. So you know it's going to be an effective news conference when, A, you got Rudy Giuliani as your spokesperson. And I would point out, Rudy seemed downright leaky at the press conference this morning. And when I say leaky, I mean sort of flop sweaty, combined with hair dye leaking from him, dripping down his face. His hair dye was running down. I've never had that problem. Not much hair to work with.
You know, a friend of mine.
Your dye job ever run down?
I don't dye, man. I don't know. But a friend of mine just sent me a short video clip of Rudy Giuliani taking out his handkerchief and wiping his snotty nose. And instead of, you know, folding the handkerchief upon itself and, you know, using the clean side to wipe the rest of his face. Yep. There you go, Bram. He folded it the wrong way, put the clean side in, and proceeded to wipe whatever he wiped out of his nose all over his face and his head. It's pretty gross. I shared it with both of you guys. Yeah, he's got something.
That ain't egg. Unless that's a runny yolk.
Oh, gross. I mean, what bat crap activity this is. I mean, this is insanity, you guys. For real. What?
You know, there were some on Twitter. The Twitterverse always notices. Richard Jeter tweets out, point. My Cousin Vinny is a fantastic movie and frequently used in law schools because it's the most accurate depiction of voir dire Hollywood has ever managed. Counterpoint. It has nothing to do with election fraud, no place in this discourse, and Rudy Giuliani is a lunatic. A little bit more here. Chris Sheridan tweeting out, Rudy Giuliani is quoting My Cousin Vinny to prove widespread ballot fraud. That's all you need to know about this press conference. Still no smoking gun. And in fact, Rudy was at one point put on the hot seat. A journalist from the Daily Caller. And he turned around and he called her.
Now, the Daily Caller, that's a conservative
That's
outfit?
Tucker Carlson's outfit. Tucker, the publisher, if you will, of that fine online rag, the Daily Caller. And Rudy Giuliani kept calling her ma'am. And then kept saying, you lie. You're a liar. Ma'am, you're lying. You're a liar. And the question that got his ire up was something to the effect of, do you have any evidence to offer?
And that he took such umbrage with, he ridiculed and mocked the reporter from the Daily Caller, from the conservative news source.
Now, Fancy Brian, I know you are a multitasking, multifaceted individual. Do we have any of the sound from the Rudy press conference? Oh, we do. Dom, why don't you call the shots? You got the Rudy?
Giuliani, cut number 40, if you would please, Fancy Brian, referring to voter fraud.
It's not a singular voter fraud in one state. This pattern repeats itself in a number of states.
Oh, so there's no voter fraud. Oh, okay. Good to know.
Well, they declared in their lawsuit in Pennsylvania, there was no voter fraud. That was part of the campaign's declarations.
Yeah, but they also at the same time want Pennsylvania to rule in favor of the president and just award him the presidency?
Anoint him the presidency. If they could, just the electoral votes from the Keystone State.
Wow,
that would be keystone.
Here, some more Giuliani regarding Georgia's recount. I believe, have those numbers come in? I haven't seen yet, but they're supposed to be in today. Here's cut 41, Giuliani.
The recount being done in Georgia will tell us nothing, because these fraudulent ballots will just be counted again because they wouldn't supply the signatures to match the ballots.
So there is voter fraud or there's not voter fraud?
Well, you'll never discover the voter fraud. The allegations of voter fraud, they're rampant. But the proof, the evidence being offered of voter fraud, very sketchy at this point.
A couple more from Giuliani, talking Philly and my lovely Detroit, cut 42.
The only surprise I would have found in this is if Philadelphia hadn't cheated in this election. Because for the last 60 years, they've cheated in just about every single election. You could say the same thing about Detroit.
Yeah, everybody's a cheater. Everybody's a cheater, especially if you don't vote for the president. The Pennsylvania votes must be removed. Let's jam a few in here. 43, please, Bri.
They weren't inspected, which renders them ballots that are null and void, cannot be counted, have to be removed from the vote.
Because I say so. That's all the evidence you need.
Cut 44, penalty of perjury.
These people are under penalty of perjury. Their names are on an affidavit. They swear that they weren't allowed to carry out their function as inspectors.
And finally, 60 people are lying. Cut 45, please.
You're going to tell me that 60 people are lying? They didn't just tell me this. They swore under penalty of perjury, which is something no Democrats ever done.
Except for Hillary and Bill Clinton and several others. Rudy Giuliani going out there with my cousin Vinny as his opening statement. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. It's a Thursday. Dom wishes it wasn't Friday.
When you saw the defendants, were you wearing your glasses?
I'm not an expert on the facts yet. I'm getting there.
I don't like your attitude.
It isn't truth. Truth isn't truth.
I'm holding you in contempt.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look. What do the signs say? Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies. What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MagSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MagSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MagSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker.
So, Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate agents tree huggers?
Crew, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yep, I even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike. And if I have an appointment across town, I use my Prius.
Darcy Haber, an honest broker. Check out solidarityrealty.com or call her at 358-6180. First, the Devil's Advocates made radio great again. Now the Devil's Advocates are making radio greater again. The Devil's Advocates are expanding the greatest radio show ever from 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Dom and Fancy Brian will kick off the political party at 2. Crudy will help you celebrate the 5 o'clock happy hour. More snark, more politics, more callers, more Devil's Advocates. Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. only on Devil Radio and always streaming live at DARNWI.com.
Hey folks, Jimmy K here from Hotel K Pet Sitting and Dog Walking. Hotel K is your pet's new best friend, offering dog walks, cat care visits, and professional house sitting in the greater Madison area. Our pet sitters are experienced, dependable, and offer you peace of mind while you're away. Schedule now at freebellyrubs.com. freebellyrubs.com. Hotel K Pet Sitting and Dog Walking. freebellyrubs.com.
Kofefe, hamburgers, smocking gun. Tired of trying to decode the tweeter in chief? Make sure you follow the greatest radio station ever at Devil Radio.
He was supposed to.
Devil's Advocates, never personal, only politics.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are open. You can join us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic President-elect Joe Biden is speaking at this moment. Going to audible and take Joe Biden live. Fancy Brian, help us out, please.
It's not a political statement. It's a patriotic duty. And fifth, we discussed making testing more available and accessible. Anyone who wants a test should be able to get one, period. And finally, while we focused on the immediate needs to control the virus, the governors also raised and talked about how much we have to build back better, especially on infrastructure and education and so much more. This was not a one-off meeting. We committed, we agreed that we'll continue to work and meet with the governors on a regular basis, continue to seek their input, and that our COVID teams will follow up and coordinate on the issues coming out of that call, because some of them have very competent people on their COVID teams in their states. The bottom line, we can do this. There's nothing beyond our capacity, but we have to come together as a country. What this meeting, along with others we've had, reinforces, in my view, is the unity the country is looking for. They're looking for us to come together and deal with problems, most of which have no ideological basis for disagreement. That's what we have to do. That's what the governors talked about. It really was pleasing to hear them. I want to thank you all, and may God bless you all and those who lost someone. You're in our prayers. May God protect our troops. I'm happy to take a few questions, and my boss is going to tell me who that is.
President-elect Joe Biden appears to be taking questions.
I know you mentioned the economic impact and talked a bit about the relief package you wanted, but I was wondering if we could talk about things that you'll be able to do just as president, or what will sort of govern your decision in terms of the economy. So I was wondering if I could ask what kind of framework you're thinking about as you decide about a Treasury Secretary going forward. Whether you would consider, you had said during the debates that you wanted to punish China over the way that they've been acting, whether that could include economic sanctions or tariffs towards China. And finally, do you think a strong dollar helps or hurts the U.S. as we're grappling with historic unemployment?
Well, look, let me try to take it one at a time. You'll soon hear my choice for Treasury. I've made that decision. We've made that decision. And you'll hear that either just before or just after Thanksgiving, number one. And you'll find it is someone who I think will be accepted by all elements of the Democratic Party, from the progressive to the moderate coalitions. Secondly, it's not so much about punishing China. It's about making sure China understands they got to play by the rules. It's a simple proposition. And so that's one of the reasons why we're going to rejoin the World Health Organization. We're going to rejoin on day one as well, and it needs reform, I acknowledge, and rejoin the Paris Climate Accord. And we have to make sure that the rest of the world and we get together and make sure there are certain bright lines Chinese understand. We have to not only deal with this pandemic, we have to plan for the next one. The idea that viruses are going to go away is just not rational. We're going to recalibrate and set up the institutional structure we had in our administration of Obama, Biden, and build on it. And what was your third question?
It's about the dollar, sir, whether you think a strong dollar will help or hurt with unemployment, or generally just how you'd like the Federal Reserve to sort of approach the...
Well, quite frankly, the way the Federal Reserve has been approaching dealing with the dollar I think, has been in a positive direction. Our interest rates are as low as they have been in modern history. And I think that is a positive thing. It lends credence to the possibility of us being able to expend the money and deficit spend in order to be able to generate economic growth right off the bat. And so I think it's been positive so far.
Thank you, Mr. President-elect. You have said that if this transition doesn't get going, especially coordination on vaccine distribution, that lives will be lost. How many lives do you think are at risk here if this transition remains stalled?
Well, look, you've heard the projections. The projections are that if nothing fundamentally changes between now and beginning of February, we're likely to lose up to total of 400,000 lives, another 150,000 lives. And so it's real. Whether it's that, it gets to 360, whatever it is, it's real. And there is no excuse not to share the data and let us begin to plan. Because on day one, it's going to take us time. If we don't have access to all this data, it's going to put us behind the 8 ball by a matter of a month or more. And that's lives. How many would be lost as a consequence of that? I can't tell you. But the purpose here is we talked a lot about with the governors about what the immediate needs are. We're going to employ the Defense Reconstructed Act to be able to go out there and dictate companies build and do following things. We need much more testing. We need much more masking. We need gloves. East to go and ask the National Governors Association through the Governor Cuomo and the ones on the line to let us know what their shortages are, what they anticipate. Because we're going to move on day one. That should be moved on now. But if it waits, it takes a long time to get this thing going.
And when you take a step back and you look at the way the president is handling this, his refusal to concede, what do you think is really going on here? In your view, Mr. President-elect, what do you think the president is doing? What are Americans witnessing here?
Let me choose my words here. I think they're witnessing incredible irresponsibility, incredibly damaging messages being sent to the rest of the world about how democracy functions. And I think it is, well, I don't know his motive, but I just think it's totally irresponsible.
Are you concerned he may succeed, that people may question the legitimacy of your administration?
No, I'm not concerned. The vast majority of the American people, all the polling data has indicated, although the Republicans who worry about it is higher, but over 78% of the American people believe it's, without question, it's legitimate. I just think it's, and I think most of the Republicans I've spoken to, including the governors, think this is debilitating. It sends a horrible message about who we are as a country.
That was President-elect Joe Biden taking questions from the media after a short prepared statement. He apparently met with bipartisan gubernatorial panel today. So a little audible from the Devil's Advocates radio show. We'll get back in the swing of things. A fun little exercise, Tom. I've got something in mind.
Oh, yeah?
But you're going to have to come back. More Devil's Advocates. Geez. Oh, it's going to be fun, but you got to play along. More Devils on the other side.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
I'm Stephanie Hoff, your host, and this podcast is brought to you by Spectrum. The State Elections Commission is moving forward with President Trump's requested recount of the results in Dane and Milwaukee counties. Pat Buddy is on the line with me today for more on this recount. The commission unanimously approved the recount in the two heavily Democratic counties. Is that right?
That's right, Stephanie, although it's about the only thing that they unanimously approved other than the motion they had at the very end to adjourn. So it was a pretty contentious meeting, as I'm sure we're going to get into in just a minute here.
Yeah, as you said, this was the one thing that they unanimously approved. In fact, the meeting was 6 hours long. So clearly they were deadlocked on some other items of business.
Yeah, so one of the things that really ended up being contentious, Stephanie, was this item that they were trying to agree on called the recount manual. And essentially what this is kind of guidance that's given to county clerks on how the recount is actually done. The issue at hand here is that the commission staff recommended making a number of changes to the last recount manual that was approved back in 2018. Now, these changes sought to kind of clarify some points in the recount manual that didn't necessarily match up with the way that elections are conducted in common practice, but there was a lot of pushback from GOP commissioners, and this ended up deadlocking.
What were those 2 points?
The first one sought to clarify that state law doesn't require every absentee ballot application to be reviewed during the recount process. So Elections Commission Administrator Megan Wolf, who is the state's top election official, said the majority of absentee ballot requests now come through the state website, the My Vote system, for our listeners out there who may have used it. And that generates an email to local clerks notifying them of the request for an absentee ballot. Now, all that information from the online request is reflected in a log that's available for those conducting the recount, but the GOP members of the commission, which remember is split 3-3 along party lines, objected to not having all the applications available for review. Now, they also deadlocked on changing a footnote, which essentially sought to clarify that an absentee ballot is only defective if it's not witnessed or it's not signed by the voter, or if the certificate accompanying the absentee ballot that the voter received by fax or by email is missing. Now, the existing manual adds to that if a witness does not provide an address, which is a requirement on the absentee ballot envelope. But that change actually reflects the guidance that the Elections Commission has been providing to clerks all the way back since 2016. So this kind of gets at this whole issue of curing ballots that has become somewhat contentious. So as we've talked about on this podcast before, Stephanie, local elections officials are allowed to cure ballots by adding the address to the absentee envelope if that's missing. If they're missing the signature, the voter has to come back and fix that. And at this point, it's already too late to do that. So that was another kind of sticking point here. And one of the things that ended up stretching this meeting so long, ultimately, the commission ended up deadlocking on both of these, which means that the changes were not approved.
And Pat, looking ahead, what can we expect next? What's the timeline for this recount?
Yeah, Stephanie. So under state law, after the recount was authorized, which it was last night, counties who are the ones who are responsible for conducting the recount have 3 days to convene and then 10 days to finish for a total of 13 days. So that sets the deadline to wrap up by December 1st. However, both Milwaukee and Dane County.
From Columbus to Fox Lake, Devil Radio on WTTN 1580 AM is essential radio to get you through your day.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Smells like the greatest radio show ever. Dominic, Rudy Giuliani got my attention today. This valid lawsuit, this valid path to victory for the Trump team. Well, it seems quite implausible when you see Rudy out there doing what? A reenactment of a scene from My Cousin Vinny.
Well, if that doesn't convince the judge and the public, I don't know what will.
Well, Dominic, I would like to involve the fine audience out there listening in Radio Land, 844-967-2789. Here's my question of all of you, including you, little buddy, and maybe Brian, but he's snacking. We'll leave him out for now. The question, what movie best represents the presidency of Donald J. Trump? Any movie come immediately to mind? For me, it was Apocalypse Now. Just the sheer chaos, the horror of the Trump presidency. What about you, buddy? You got any thoughts?
What Animal House? I mean, I'd hate to soil such a
Animal House was
movie.
anti-establishment, man. Well, he's
Animal House is more how
but
I envisioned our radio product.
Yeah. But it's it's a bunch of misfits, running around, and that's exactly what this is. Look at this crew. Look at the swamp that Trump brought with him. Okay, maybe that's not a great one, but that's the sense I get. Just chaos. Certainly, not as drastic as Apocalypse Now, but something along those lines.
I got one. Requiem for a Dream. At no point was there any joy or happiness, and every second of the movie made you sadder and sadder, and it got worse every single moment of the entire movie, and you never wanted to watch it again. At least that was my take of Requiem for a Dream.
Damn, I had that on the short list to Netflix and chill with this weekend.
It's one of those, hey, heroin's not good, don't do it movies.
I guess I missed that one in wider theater release. I will not do heroin, and I will not watch that movie, but I do request that you, our fair audience, play along. What is the movie of Donald Trump's presidency? And actually, I've got a different one, Tom. I'm taking two choices.
Oh, okay.
But you, the call-in audience, you only get one. But my second thought, have you ever seen the movie Kevin Costner, No Way Out?
Yes, I like that movie.
You know how it's a thriller. Kevin Costner, a naval officer, and he's got a little dalliance with a woman, and he's being caught. And there's some thought that there is a Russian spy in the intelligence apparatus, in the deep state, if you will, Dom. And as it turns out, it's Kevin Costner. And I should have given you a spoiler alert before I brought that up. But the whole time, we, the audience watching the movie, we know that Kevin Costner is under all this pressure. And because of his relationship with this woman, I believe it was Sean Young, I believe her name, right? Did I get that right?
She was also in Dune. Are you talking about Sean Young?
Yeah.
Which I'm sorry, I was looking up for something.
The one that dies in No Way Out. The woman that
Sean Young, probably. I'm going to say probably.
So anyways, that movie reminds me of Donald Trump's presidency because, of course, we've all suspected, we, the audience at home, we all know he's been compromised. He's under pressure. He's operating just, we don't entirely know what the motives are. And here at the end of the movie, at some point, we're going to do the flash forward and we're going to realize Donald Trump was Yuri the whole time.
And yes, it was Sean Young in No Way Out.
844
I don't always get the movie references
2789. How about All the President's Men?
Well, I've got somewhere we can pivot from there, but that one also came to mind. The Watergate story.
Yeah.
So what'd you end up going with, Dom?
I'm still chewing on it. I'll come up with something.
Bride of Chucky.
American History X.
844. Let's not take all the best choices. Let's leave some for our audience. 844-967-2789. Going immediately to the phones in our pal Profane Ronnie. And you're on the short leash today, Ronnie. But what movie do you think best represents the Donald J. Trump presidency?
Before I say mine, I was dialing, so I missed what your choice was, Trudy. What was your choice?
Well, first and foremost, I said Apocalypse Now, the horror.
Oh, okay.
But then I said No Way Out, the Kevin Costner movie where he plays the Russian spy. And then, he's under pressure the entirety. And then you find out at the end he was Yuri. Just like we're going to find out at the end, Yuri is Donald Trump.
Yep.
Or at least I suspect.
Yeah. As soon as you said, what movie would you think of for this Trump presidency, I yelled out, "Dumb and Dumber."
And is he dumb or is Pence dumber?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, just everybody that adds on to the administration, as one leaves, another one comes, and it's just dumb and dumber and dumberer and dumberer and
Dumb and dumberer.
Ronnie, he hires all the best people and family members.
You're right.
Tell me I'm rich, and I'm good looking, and I have a rapist wit.
Oh,
Ronnie,
that's my 2 cents.
Thanks for playing along. You were the first one to dial us on this fun little exercise.
We do appreciate it. I'm going to throw another one out there. What about the Manchurian Candidate? I mean, seems appropriate as well.
The old version or the remake version?
The old
Denzel.
Version, the
60s. 844-967-2789. Let's have a little fun. What movie is representative of the Donald Trump presidency? Want to hear from you. Want to lighten it up, man. Can't be all COVID deaths and Trump trying to coup d'etat the United States post-electoral loss. It's also got to be mocking the man. So what movie best represents the Donald J. Trump presidency? Dick from Madison, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Well, Brian had to look it up for me, and then I got a little song for you, an Elvis song. It was Dr. Strangelove with Slim Pickens is riding the bomb out at the end of it, you know, and there's an
Peter Sellers, right? Was that Peter Sellers?
Yeah, but
we haven't seen the end credits yet on the Trump presidency. It might still be coming, Dick.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But here's my song. It's to Elvis's Return to Sender. Resend the vote count. Libs and minorities just don't count. Send in Rudy. Let's get this right. That's the best I could do. It's
Dick, your singing voice, not one of your strengths.
No, not
we
at
share
all.
that problem, sir.
Yes. And one last thing. Who said this? And finally, I could think of no worse example for nations abroad when for the first time are trying to put free electoral procedures into effect than the United States wrangling over the results of a presidential election and even suggesting the presidency itself could be stolen by thievery at the ballot box.
Ricardo Montalban.
Richard Nixon, 1960. Pretty bad when you got to have Nixon
as a voice of reason.
Know? Yeah, I mean the guy, and that election was close, 120,000 votes or something. Good Lord.
Excellent point, Dick. 844-967-2789.
Welcome, Fantasy Island.
3 states, 45,000 votes. Michigan, Wisconsin. Is it Michigan? It's Wisconsin, Michigan, and like Arizona. Maybe it's Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona, but 45,000 votes. The margin of victory in the Electoral College. If effectively Trump could have turned out 45,000 more voters, he might have a better than decent shot. But, you know, since he doesn't, we're going to have fun trying to call him out. What would be the movie of the Donald J. Trump presidency, in your humble opinion, audience? 844-967-2789. Want to have some fun with you on a Thursday that should be a Friday, but we still got to work for another day and a half. John from Columbia County, welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, John.
Listen, good. It's not a movie, but it's a TV series called Shameless.
Yeah?
I mean, everybody that's surrounded by that guy just has no morals whatsoever. I mean, they just can't do nothing right. And but I just thought that was funny. And on a final note, Dom, you were talking about 89X in Detroit.
Yeah.
Close friend of mine went to high school and college with him, named Vince Canova, disc jockeyed there at that time.
Oh, no way.
Don't know if you remember. Yeah, up until all the late 2000s. And then he jockeyed in Madison for about a year and a half. And, of course, they kept on going to no live DJs, and he lost his job after 30 years in the industry. But anyways, when you mentioned that, I just had to bring it up. I just thought it was great. And that's it for me, guys. Have a great day.
Hey,
thank you.
Thanks for playing, man. Appreciate it, John.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
I was answering the phone. Did he say Shameless?
Shameless,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm in that show.
The
You're in
TV show,
Shameless?
Shameless.
Season 3, episode 8.
And would you just spit on anyone or play a bouncer, throw someone on their ass? What'd you do?
Actually, it wasn't me. It was my sister in the show. It was the plot was basically Bill Macy's walking around with a shirt that says, I am a retard and proud of it. And they use the R word all the time in the whole show. And he's like, no, I got to understand it. And the girl who's my sister has Down syndrome. So I nearly run him over, which, by the way, in the real shoot, I nearly killed him. But two, I got out of this car and we run after him. And then she punches him in the balls for wearing the shirt. And it's fantastic. It's a really, really cool episode. I really enjoy it.
You know, if only someone could punch Donald J. Trump in the nards on his way out the door, that'd be swell.
I think she'd do a great job of it too. She's fantastic, and she was awesome to work with.
Donald Trump also made fun of disabled people, specifically a reporter from the New York Times, if you'll recall.
How could we forget?
967-2789. Lots of people want to play along. What could be the movie of Donald J. Trump's presidency? And we're looking for creative answers. You know, you can touch on the world of porn if you must. But let's go back to the phones. Chris from Janesville, you're next. Welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Hey, Chris.
Idiocracy. Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys, for taking the call. Idiocracy. Terry Crews is the president. Like, that is the ultimate. There's not that's it.
That's it. I like it, man. You are the lead right now, idiot. That is this presidency. No doubt about it. People embracing the ignorance. They love it.
Chris,
that's yeah, go ahead.
No, just any other thoughts, man. Didn't want to cut you short.
No, I've got way too much to say in this short of time, and I'm just saying that is the movie, and I don't think anybody can top that.
Idiocracy. That's a bold claim, Chris. I hope you're listening to us on 103.5 FM out of Janesville. Appreciate you doing so. You know, they play us in Janesville the 3 to 5 o'clock hours. They're right for doing so.
They certainly are.
Radio show ever, some people say. I believe Dave on the East Side is next. East Side Dave, welcome. The movie of Donald J. Trump's life, what would you recommend?
Well, I'm being creative about this. I was never a big movie buff, but I'm thinking of possibly an old song hit that was Thank for the Memories. And yeah, a movie with that name. Yeah, whatever they were. Thanks, Donald buddy. And geez, thank you and all your buddies for wrecking my country. And I'm just glad I don't have kids, even though I like kids.
Oh, man. That sucks, man. Hey, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for the nightmares is what it should be. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, lots of people having fun with this little exercise. We'll keep doing it for a bit longer. What movie is most representative of Donald J. Trump's presidency? Now, I thought of two. I mentioned them. Dom started out with Apocalypse Now, the horror. And then I said, perhaps No Way Out. You know, he's like a Russian spy caught trapped in the complex under constant pressure of being exposed. But I think our audience, far more creative than either you nor I. Join us. What movie best represents Donald J. Trump's presidency? Idiocracy, a fine choice so far, but yours could be next at 844-967-2789.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah!
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
The Lazy Wolf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Wolf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazywolflounge.com.
First, the Devil's Advocates made radio great again. Now the Devil's Advocates are making radio greater again. The Devil's Advocates are expanding the greatest radio show ever from 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Dom and Fancy Brian will kick off the political party at 2. Crudy will help you celebrate the 5 o'clock happy hour. More snark, more politics, more callers, more Devil's Advocates. Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. Only on Devil Radio and always streaming live at DARNWI.com.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
That could be. It might be. It is. Devil Radio 92.7.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we live in our dream.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Join the frivolity at 844-967-2789.
You know, Dominic, I heard they're making a life-size Lego of you. That big.
Like that big? Come on, man. 5'6".
Yeah, like I said, that big. Fancy Bride and I were taking note of, and we're having a little fun, a little political exercise on a Thursday that should be a Friday, but we still got to work, so you can play along. What movie best represents the presidency of Donald J. Trump? And then me and Fancy Brian, and Brian much more culturally aware than perhaps I. You know, it's got to be on the Netflix, someone free for me to watch it. But Fancy Brian, he's seen a lot of movies. But seemingly it could be or should be a Steve Mnuchin production. I mean, he has produced a lot of movies, and he is the Treasury Secretary. So he knows a little something about it, Tom.
And he's produced some good movies, too.
I know, some that you've heard of.
The Lego Movie.
Yeah.
Lego Batman.
Central Intelligence.
Wonder Woman.
Starring Rock. The
Edge
Legend of
Tomorrow.
Tarzan. But a few of Mnuchin's movies that should be considerations for the movie that most reflects the Trump presidency. Here's a Mnuchin production. What about Suicide Squad? That's his cabinet. And everyone that attends a Trump rally. The Midnight Man, perhaps. A few more of Mnuchin's finer. Here's one. Rules Don't Apply. Steve Mnuchin made a movie called Rules Don't Apply. That could be the movie of Donald J. Trump's presidency, but you, our fair audience, I'm sure you've got better answers, and they don't have to be produced by Steve Mnuchin. Prefer if they were not. But let's get back to the phones.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know. Steve Mnuchin, I think given that this is Donald Trump, we're going to look at people that produced movies. I think Harvey Weinstein, we should be looking at his catalog if you want to really kind of get to the core of Donald Trump as a man.
Who would play Donald Trump in the movie? You know there's going to be a Trump movie. How long do you think before it hits, the Hallmark Channel or OANN or maybe a Fox News made for television movie, the Trump presidency in all its glory?
They're going to tell that story 80 years and use it to scare children. You better be Democratic or else Trump will come and get you in your sleep.
844.
Didn't Weinstein do Pulp Fiction? I mean, that seems kind of like a situation we're in these days.
844-967-2789. Going back to the phones and our fair audience. Kurt from Madison, you're next. What's your thought?
Hey, Kurt.
Hi, guys. Hate to steal Chris's thunder, but given that this isn't just Trump, it's also the cast of characters of Trump, I would have to defer to it's a mad world.
Mad world, Kurt.
The original, not the remake.
I didn't
cast the characters in there. If you didn't see it, then you're missing out on a great movie because there are huge stars in it and great old comedians with great lines and showing the insanity of how humans will behave. So I recommend that one.
And that is Kurt's contribution to the movie that best reflects the Donald J. Trump presidency. Going to keep going down the phones. Lots of people want to play along at 844-967-2789. Joe from Madison. Welcome back, Joe. You're next. What do you got for us?
Hello, Joe.
Oh, you people are good. Shameless. It's a mad world. Idiocracy. How can I possibly top that? I just have three little items here, and I guess because they sort of fit on how I embody how I feel looking at the Trump presidency. I kind of feel like Bugs Bunny as he's watching the Tasmanian Devil. He's just watching this thing out of control, and you just kind of can't believe it. And then the other thing that would kind of fit in there for me is the Stonehenge scene in Spinal Tap when you're seeing that things are obviously not working too well, and the gig is up, and they keep continuing on. And then I would have to say that for today, Wizard of Oz, the scene with Rudy kind of melting down and the hair dye
Don't bother. Don't pay attention to the lawyer behind the green curtain.
Oh, I just imagined hairdressers across America screaming at the top of their lungs as they see what the height of fine grooming from Rudy. So those don't really capture Trump, but they sure capture parts of the Trump presidency for me. So
Joe, my mother-in-law posted on the social mediums. She said his "Just for Men" was running down his head.
She's got it. It's worth seeing. I mean, all of us have had wardrobe malfunctions, but this one was pretty spectacular. So it's worth a view.
Joe, appreciate your contribution. 844-967-2789. Having fun with our fair audience. The question of the day, of the hour, the movie that best represents the Donald J. Trump presidency. Any old contribution, as long as it makes us laugh or makes us cry, it's got to expand our horizons in some way, shape, or form. Carol, expand my horizons.
Hey, Carol.
Well, I'm going with his love of golfing, and I'm going to say Caddyshack.
And which character in Caddyshack do you think that Donald J. Trump most resembles?
Judge Smells, right, Carol?
Well, he's got the gopher on his head. He's wearing it like a toupee.
Yeah.
Is it the judge? No. The judge, I've sent boys like you to the gas chamber. The gas chamber, Danny. The Ted Knight character, is that the one that makes you think of Donald Trump?
Sit down, Danny.
Just golfing in general. I mean, it's got to be just an absolute hoot being out there with him cheating so that he wins every time, I'm sure. And the fact that he just, he blew off half the presidency and just golfed instead, and then screwed us all by making us upgrade Mar-a-Lago so there was enough for Secret Service type stuff there, and we had to pay for all this crap. And, instead of even paying attention to this whole pandemic now, he's just taking a little cruise past all of his supporters who are protesting happy about his continued presidency as he heads off to Bedminster to do more golfing.
Well, he's building condos on the good side of the China Wall. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. The exercise, the fun. What is the movie of Donald J. Trump's presidency? Want to hear from you, your contributions. Certainly welcome. 844-967-2789. I think we'll carry this exercise over to the 4 o'clock happy hour.
Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Don't you have homes?
It's getting cold out there, Wisconsin. Time to bust out your favorite flannel attire and join us on Saturday, November 21st for Flannel Fest, an online concert event raising money for the Keep Wisconsin Warm/Cool Fund, because no Wisconsinite should be without heat during the cold winter months. Flannel Fest features performances from 18 artists across the country, including Blitzen Trapper, Beth Killy Band, The Mascot Theory, and many more. Visit flannelfest.com for more details. Sponsored by Max Inc. on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
At Chad's Design Build, we value honesty, hard work, accountability, and humility. And we have the same expectations for our elected leaders. We don't ignore problems and we don't blame others when we make a mistake. Right now, we all need to focus on helping each other, restoring health to our community, demanding accountability from our leaders, and showing gratitude to the people who sacrifice for others. On behalf of our entire team at Chad's Design Build, this is Chad Spade.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Trump is calling a meeting at the White House tomorrow with Republican leaders from the state of Michigan. It's all about the vote count. The president refuses to concede the presidential election. What does President-elect Joe Biden think?
He will go down in history as being one of the most irresponsible presidents in American history.
In Wilmington, Delaware, Biden was asked if he is concerned.
No, I'm not concerned. The vast majority of the American people, they've already, all the polling data has indicated, although the Republicans who worry about it is higher, but over 78% of the American people believe it's, without question, it's legitimate.
The president-elect met with governors from both parties about the coronavirus. He says this could be a dark winter, but
no national shutdown. Because every region, every area, every community can be different.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued guidance today begging people not to travel for Thanksgiving and to gather only with people in their own household. Lisa Corpolongo is in a long line to get a coronavirus test in New York City. She is going home for Thanksgiving.
I think with the numbers rising and knowing that they want to see their families and the restrictions that their parents or themselves are putting on each other, has been a little challenging.
Stocks finished higher today on Wall Street. After earlier losses, the Dow Jones Industrial Average finished up almost 45 points. A judge halted the scheduled execution of a man convicted of kidnapping and raping a 6-year-old girl in Texas, bludgeoning her with a shovel and burying her alive. Orlando Hall is black, and Hall's attorneys have argued that racial bias played a role in his death sentence. The U.S. general overseeing American military operations across the Middle East says the Islamic State extremist group will never be truly defeated until the world solves the problem of refugees. This is AP News.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
First, the Devil's Advocates made radio great again. Now the Devil's Advocates are making radio greater again. Again! The Devil's Advocates are expanding the greatest radio show ever from 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Dom and Fancy Brian will kick off the political party at 2. Crudy will help you celebrate the 5 o'clock happy hour. More snark, more politics, more callers, more Devil's Advocates. Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. Only on Devil Radio and always streaming live at DARNWI.com.
Hey folks, Jimmy K here from Hotel K Pet Sitting and Dog Walking. Hotel K is your pet's new best friend, offering dog walks, cat care visits, and professional house sitting in the greater Madison area. Our pet sitters are experienced, dependable, and offer you peace of mind while you're away. Schedule now at freebellyrubs.com. Freebellyrubs.com. Hotel K Pet Sitting and Dog Walking. Freebellyrubs.com.
Join me, Stephanie Miller, and the entire Sexy Liberal Resistance every morning from 8 to 11 for the Stephanie Miller Show right here on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. Listen live Monday through Friday on Devil Radio, Wisconsin's home for progressive news talk radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Thursday, November 19th. One of central Wisconsin's largest health systems is making plans to send some COVID-19 patients home to receive care there. The measure is the latest effort by Wisconsin hospitals to manage record numbers of new patients as the coronavirus continues to spread out of control. At a press conference on Wednesday in Wausau, Aspirus CEO Matt Haywood said facilities at the Wausau Hospital are nearly full and staff resources are strained. As a result, he said the hospital is going to move some patients who would otherwise be hospitalized into home care to keep our beds available for the sickest of the sick. With COVID-19 cases rising in Wisconsin, the Miller Park testing site has added Saturday hours so more Wisconsinites can get tested. The testing site will now be open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic sliding into the Thursday 4 o'clock happy hour. And I'm happy to say our little exercise has been a success. The start point, Rudy Giuliani came out a press conference. Lots of legal muscle power behind Rudy today.
Oh, yeah.
Unhinged, even by the most unhinged of the Trumpian standards. This press conference went entirely off the rails. And part of the press conference was Rudy Giuliani reenacting a scene from My Cousin Vinny to try and make the case that Joe Biden had somehow stolen the election through all sorts of conspiracies.
The defense is wrong.
Which led me to wonder, Dom, and you've played along, and many in the audience have played along as well, and your participation still welcome here. Going to keep playing this game for a bit longer at 844-967-2789. The question, though, Dom, what movie is most reflective of the Donald Trump presidency?
Mr. Kata, I have a new one that I thought of over the break. True Lies. The Schwarzenegger flick.
True Lies. Now, do you think Trump would have sex with the 3-boobied woman?
From Total Recall?
Am I confusing my movie?
Yeah,
that's my bad.
Yeah, that was Total Recall. And yes,
it's not a Tuma?
No, that's Kindergarten Cop. But yes, we're getting there. True
I thought
Lies.
Schwarzenegger was only in one movie. You just named 2.
844-967-2789. Let's keep going. Our audience, smarter than us. Gene from Cross Plains, you are next.
It's a low bar.
It's a low bar. Welcome, Gene. What do you got for us today?
Hello.
Hey, Gene.
Mine's not a reflection. Mine's not a reflection on the whole presidency. Just the last 2 weeks. Hitler, the last 2 days with Alec Guinness, and/or downfall.
What was the first one?
The first one was Hitler, the last 10 days.
And what's downfall? What's that about?
Same thing. Hitler in his bunker at the end.
Okay.
You
So
know,
a lot
if
of
it's
Hitler references, Gene.
Gene, if it's not a comedy, we can't guarantee that we've seen it.
Well, the end's funny.
It's a happy ending, Gene.
Well, he did end up in a ditch covered in gasoline on fire. So, yeah.
Bingo.
Much like the Trump presidency, Gene. Appreciate your contribution.
It's a dumpster fire.
Want to keep moving down the phones. 844-967-2789. Ted from Madison, you're next. Welcome, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
Hey, I want to commend to you a movie I saw on campus a few years back. Came out in 1944 by the great comic director Preston Sturgis. The movie is called The Great McGinty. And McGinty is a guy who maybe has gone bankrupt, but is definitely down on his luck, and happens upon a scheme in which he can get a few dollars for voting. And so he goes out and votes multiple times, comes back in and worms his way into the machine. It's a great movie where everything's transactional. Unfortunately, toward the end, McGinty, unlike Donnie Sue, develops a little too much empathy, and it leads to his downfall. Goes into the restaurant business where he carries on his pugilistic ways, and it's a laugh a minute. It's a lot of fun to see, and take a shot at it sometime.
What was it? What was the title of that one again, Ted?
The Great McGinty, McGinty.
I hope people are taking notes here, Ted, because, you know, we're all going to get stuck in for like the next 3 to 4 months inside our homes.
Right.
You know, make your watch list.
Yeah, no doubt.
Get yourself
a great
some
idea.
Rojo popcorn from Voss's factory and sit down and utilize our fine audience's recommendations for the movies most representative of Donald J. Trump's presidency. And I thought of another one as well as I've been sitting here.
Do tell.
Birth of a Nation. 844-967-2789. Jaden from Richland Center. Welcome, Jaden. What do you got for us?
Hello, Jaden.
What's going on, fellas? Hey, first off, I want to thank everybody that voted for my girlfriend on Maxine's Halloween show.
Oh,
she
awesome.
Beat,
Well, who's your girl, Jaden?
Her name is Jamie Gushel.
And did she go with something slutty for the holiday, Jaden?
No, she could turn heads without doing that. She had some type of a witch costume on. I thought I was going to win because I was Edward Scissorhands, but they liked her eyes better than mine, I guess. So yeah, I was thinking Trump kind of reminds me of Rick Moranis in Spaceballs.
Right.
Merchandising.
Yeah.
Where the real money in the presidency is made.
Yeah. Little tough guy Brad with a big helmet playing with his Barbies in his room.
Yeah, I did not see you playing with your doll, sir.
Did you see anything?
No, sir.
I didn't see you playing with your dolls. Good.
Jaden,
Oh, God.
that's an excellent pick. Any other thoughts before we move on down the phones?
Nah, man, I don't know. My head's spinning from everything. I don't even know where to take it.
All right, brother. Then we're going to keep moving on.
We'll leave it there, man. Leave on top, man. That's always the way to do it. We appreciate it. Thank you for the call. 844-967-2789.
I thought you were supposed to leave them wanting more.
I hate you. Leave me alone.
844-967-2789. Dominic, I believe we'll keep going down the list here. Who's next?
We got Chris. Is that Chris from Janesville? We're taking.
Wait.
Wait,
hold
what?
on.
What?
Wait,
who's in charge over here?
Hey, Chris from Janesville. Did you already join us on the air? Is this the same Chris?
I did, but I was calling. I just calling to say, and I got to say to the last caller, Spaceball is freaking fantastic. but here's the thing. So amongst all the he's saying everything we cheated. It was all cheated. When we see him go on the air and say that he won because it got electrolytes, you guys are all gonna be like, Chris, you got to be on the show.
Because of electrolytes?
You need to watch Idiocracy, man. It got electrolytes. Anybody who's seen Idiocracy knows what I'm talking about.
Come on, you can't vote for yourself twice.
Come on, Chris. There's a rule in the Devil's Advocates. You only get one stab at it, but we do appreciate it. I still like Idiocracy, but just because you say it twice, you don't get 2 votes, man.
It's true then. When you say it twice, it becomes true. 844-967-2789. If you've joined us late, we are trying to name the movie that is most representative to your humble opinion, yours and the audience out there listening. Dom and I have had lots of stabs at this topic, lots of bites at the apple, but want to hear from you at 844-967-2789. We'll go back to the phones. Dan from Monona, thanks for listening. Dan, what do you got for us?
Hey, Dan.
That guy just stole it from me. I've been wanting to call you guys for months now and say Idiocracy.
I have not seen that movie. Now, who's in that movie?
It's Owen Wilson's brother, Luke Wilson. It's basically, I'm telling you, they predicted the Trump presidency, the future, by 10 years. The downfall of the American, what do I want to say? The smart. It's just hilarious, but you guys haven't seen it. That's unbelievable.
No, I have seen it. And we do appreciate your comments and your suggestion, Dan. Idiocracy is a really funny movie.
844-967-2789. Dean from Humboldt County, Northern California. Dean, welcome, sir. What movie, to your humble opinion, should be most reflective of Donald Trump's presidency?
Well, I got a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Which
Maybe
one is
2 or
he?
3 flows over the cuckoo's nest. Oh, he could be anybody, but let's say Rudy Giuliani would be Martini. Hit me.
And who's Nurse Ratched?
Oh, that's the spokeslady right now.
Oh, Kayleigh McEnany? I thought she was election fraud Barbie.
Aren't you ashamed?
Well, there you go. From the good place that's got good stuff. Have fun.
That music is for everyone.
Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it. Love us some Humboldt County.
KGOE.
844-967-2789. Looks like we have Paul on the Beltline. Welcome, Paul. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Paul.
I was thinking about War of the Roses with Michael Douglas, and I think it's Kathleen Turner.
Yeah. It is indeed.
Yeah, the way the ending is.
Is that like the end of Trump's marriage? Like Melania just slapping his hand away at the end?
Yeah. Her pushing him off the balcony. That's the way it ends. So okay, you guys keep up the good work.
Yeah, right on. Right on, Paul.
Are we hoping now that Melania gives him a good stiff shove, sort of a stiff arm on the balcony?
Rhetorically speaking,
Trump
of course.
lands out on the south lawn. Hope he doesn't sprain anything. Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Got a fine guest joining me in the 5 o'clock happy hour. She is Senator-elect Melissa Sargent, a favorite round here. Also, Patrick from Pegasus Games, going to catch up with one of our fine sponsors. That's in the 5 o'clock happy hour. But we're happy right now because we're doing a little movie theater exercise. What, to your opinion, is the movie most reflective of the Donald Trump presidency? And also, we're going to cover a few more headlines. Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I want somebody's butt. I want it now.
I don't like you because you're dangerous.
I feel the need for speed.
So thank you.
Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just two buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say? Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MaxSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. And live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MaxSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MaxSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, Rocker. Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus. So if you have a fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going in. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
WTTN 1580 AM News Talk Radio, built for the 99%, is rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. You can always join us in the happy hour at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we've had lots of engagement, lots of participation. What movie most reflective of the Donald Trump presidency? But I got a few other headlines. I'd like to throw one out there, sort of related. Washington Post, all the president's guys, in quotes. Remember Rob Goldstone? He was the portly British publicist who took selfies wearing wacky hats, who sent Donald Trump Jr. an email offering documents from the Russians that would incriminate Hillary Clinton. If that's what you say, I love it, Donald Jr. wrote back in 2016 before setting up a meeting. Rob Goldstone is a Trump guy, a member of a fraternity of oddballs, attention hounds, and hapless bagmen who never would have come within 100 yards of presidential affairs under normal circumstances, but who now, thanks to Trump, will remain part of history long after we forget their names. Scaramucci, Lewandowski, Omarosa, Seb Gorka, Carter Page, Mike Lindell, and his company My Pillow, Rudy Giuliani, Associate Lev Parnas, and his old company, Fraud Guarantee.
Guaranteed, baby.
It can be hard to keep track of all the bit players in the Trump show, and the next administration seems more likely to mark a return to a relatively dull parade of experts and bureaucrats. So while we still can, let's remember some Trump guys. Trump guys are largely responsible for our current reality. The general election of 2016 began with a guy, Goldstone, peddling info on Clinton, and the 2020 campaign ended with another guy, Tony Bobulinski, offering the same on Joe Biden. Over the past 4 years, Trump guys have played a key role in special counsel investigation and impeachment, and most recently, an election fraud scavenger hunt behind the Four Seasons Total Landscaping in Philadelphia. Their experiences also offer a prophecy of what life might be like for all of us once Trump is out of our lives. you can never really get back to the way things were before you shook up your life. Here's a quote, Tom. Whatever I do and wherever I end up in life, I see myself a little like Monica Lewinsky, Goldstone said in a recent interview. I will always be the person who wrote that email. Jeff Toobin said to me recently, whatever you do in life, you wrote the most famous email, perhaps of the entire century. And Toobin, the now former New Yorker writer who lost his job at the magazine in the aftermath of the most famous Zoom call of the century, confirmed this account. Another quote. Laura, I'm trying to speak to somebody, yelled Michael Cohen, Trump's former fixer who later went to jail and now is under house arrest when reached by phone. My God, he said, it's unbelievable. It's like my wife is a 2-year-old. That's the problem with being locked up at home. You can't escape. Carter Page's exact whereabouts remain unknown. That's the sort of nature of being an international fugitive, said Page, who is not an international fugitive when reached by phone the day before the election. A Google News search for Page, an energy consultant whose brief role as a foreign policy advisor to Trump's 2016 campaign helped spur the FBI's Russian investigation, turned up a local item about a talk he was scheduled to give to the Republican Club of Flower Mound, Texas. You know, he's moving up in the world, that Carter Page, Dom. And then there's the Scaramucci. You know, we're more than a Scaramucci since the election was called on behalf of Joe Biden. A Scaramucci is 11 days, Dom. Anthony Scaramucci, the New York finance guy who lasted less than 2 weeks as a senior administration official before he was fired after being too candid about his machinations with the reporter, has embraced the Trump White House alumni status, fashioning himself as a dial-a-quote for reporters looking for insight on the president's behavior. Former apprentice contestant, the White House advisor, Omarosa Manigault Newman, too, has gone the route of Trump apologist turned Trumpologist. Sean Spicy Spicer, a longtime Republican hand who launched his brief tenure as press secretary by yelling at journalists for accurately reporting on the modest crowd size at Trump's inauguration, had a cameo at the 2017 Emmys and competed on Dancing with the Stars. I aspire to someday get on Dancing with the Stars, Dom.
No, please don't.
And much like Spicy, I'd do a salsa to the Spice Girls in a shirt that resembled a gigantic piece of neon kelp. All the guys, all right? Are the guys all right? It's hard to say, Dom. At least when I'm trying to speak on a Thursday.
Rudy has done nothing for me. Goldstone asked about the Trump experience of being a strange guy, a Trump guy, which is strange because usually knowing a president isn't a bad thing. But there was something about even getting close to Donald Trump that seems to have forever marked you.
It's the mark of the beast.
How does a guy become a Trump guy anyway? Barack Obama and every other president had a circle around them, said Parnas, a Trump guy who was dispatched to Ukraine on a quest to find dirt on Biden. If I could have broken into the circle, I think Obama and I would have been friends, but I would never have gotten the opportunity because his circle is his defense. Trump doesn't have that circle, he continued. He doesn't have a defense circle because everyone around him is out for themselves. When President Obama came to Washington, he arrived with no new friends mantra, choosing instead to surround himself with a close group of friends and advisors, your Valerie Jarrett's and David Axelrod's. Parnas was a failed businessman with a string of bad debts and a company he named Fraud Guarantee after having personally spent time cleaning up Google search results for his name that turned up fraud accusations levied against him. With a perfectly round head and thinning hair slicked down, he even looked like he'd been picked up as a second-hand henchman store. In other words, Crudy, he fit right in.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. The Trump guys.
The Trump guys.
They're a certain type. They're an odd bunch. And he hires nothing but the best people. There's more of them. We'll enumerate a few more on the other side.
I hope that your first order is an executive order.
And if you still want to keep playing the game, what would be the movie most representative of Donald J. Trump's presidency? I'm still waiting for Animal Farm. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Phone lines, they're open mostly at 844-967-2789.
You fellas have nothing to worry about. I'm a professional.
America has chosen Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to lead our country. Now it's time to get to work. Time to expand healthcare and tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Time to restore our democracy and unify our nation. It's time to put this administration to work for us. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
When it comes to computers, Madison Computer Works has been the leader in computer help, service, and support for more than 35 years. Our friendly techs have the expertise to help you choose the right computer for your needs. We make it easy to get a new computer by moving your data, reinstalling programs, and setting up your printers and email for you. Our competitive pricing and awesome tech support make moving to a new computer painless and affordable. Whether servicing your old computer or buying a new one, we'll help you do it right. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
Trump has to cooperate. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President-elect Joe Biden tells a bipartisan group of governors via video conferencing President Trump has to stop stonewalling the presidential transition, especially when it comes to the pandemic.
There is no excuse not to share the data and let us begin to plan. Because on day one, it's going to take us time. If we don't have access to all this data, it's going to put us behind the 8 ball by a matter of a month or more. And that's lives. How many would be lost as a consequence of that? I can't tell you.
Trump has called GOP legislative leaders in Michigan to meet with him at the White House tomorrow. 2 people familiar with the matter tell the AP Trump invited Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey and House Speaker Lee Chatfield. Both have already said they will not try to overturn Biden's 153,000 vote win in the state. Federal and state officials from both parties across the country declared the 2020 election safe and secure. I'm Tim McGuire.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Thursday, November 19th. Governor Tony Evers said Wednesday he will issue a new public health emergency on the coronavirus pandemic and will extend the state's indoor mask mandate into 2021. Evers announced his plans for a new order as Wisconsin set a new record Wednesday with 7,989 cases of COVID-19 reported and 52 people lost their lives to the virus. The order itself has not been issued. Evers said only the mask mandate would be extended into January. No specific end date was offered. Partly cloudy skies throughout the area today with a high of 63 degrees, low of 40 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
You got the touch.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's the 4 o'clock happy hour. It continues. We've been having a little fun. We've been trying to name the movie most emblematic of the presidency of Donald J. Trump. And I understand there's a clue being offered in this musical soundtrack. Brian, I have no idea what it is.
double movie reference right here.
All right, man. Drop it on the very
This
clever
is
amongst us.
The Touch by Stan Bush and Barrage. It was featured in the 1984 or 1985 cartoon Transformers the movie soundtrack, which is awesome. Later on in Transformers, the guy named Mark Wahlberg would be in that movie. He's also in Boogie Nights, and he sings this song when he's trying to be a recording artist. He's trying to get out of the porn business and become a recording artist with as Brock Landers. And he needs the tapes and everything. This is the exact song that he's singing when he's trying to be in Boogie Nights. And that is emblematic of the Trump thing, because I need the tapes, man, so I can go get the money, so I can go get paid for the tapes, man. You don't understand. I need the tapes. That's all Trump has said for half of his presidency. He's, I need the tapes, man. You need to give me the thing that I want before I can give you the thing that you need that I can't give you, but I want it.
Donald Trump is a star. A bright shining star. 844-967-2789. Dom, we were talking about how do you become a Trump guy?
A Trump guy.
There's lots of Trump guys. A large circle. A lot of coffee boys. You know, that's
they're only coffee boys after they're no longer
retrospect,
Trump guys.
In hindsight.
Yes.
Dom, I want to jump back in this article. A little bit of redundancy. How does a guy become a Trump guy anyways? A quote from Lev Parnas. You know, he's a guy. Barack Obama and every other president had a circle around them. If I could have broken into that circle, I think Obama and I would have been friends, but I would have never gotten that opportunity because his circle is his defense. Trump doesn't have that circle, he continued. He doesn't have a defense circle because everyone around him is out for themselves. When President Obama came to Washington, he arrived with a no new friends mantra, choosing instead to surround himself with a close group of friends and advisors, your Valerie Jarrett's and your David Axelrod's. Parnas was a failed businessman with a string of bad debts and company's name fraud guarantee after having personally spent time cleaning up Google search results for his name that turned up fraud associations levied against him. With a perfectly round head, you know, can't hold that against a man. And thinning hair slicked back. I don't slick mine back. He even looked a little like he'd been picked up at the secondhand henchman store. In other words, he fit right in. Again, a quote from Parnas. I would walk into the Trump hotel. It was like the movie, Trading Places, he said. Everyone would say, hello, Mr. Parnas. And people from the Trump circle would be there and welcome me like it was their other home. All it took to break in was to spend some money at a few Trump fundraisers and dinners, ingratiate himself to the crowd. Soon he was part of the Giuliani shadow diplomacy efforts in Ukraine. Parnas lived there until he was 4 and had connections. His work with the former New York mayor, which included a haphazard attempt at finding damaging information on Joe Biden and his son Hunter, and a slightly more successful effort to oust Ukrainian ambassador Marie Yovanovitch for the sin of not being a Trump guy, eventually became fodder during Trump's impeachment. Parnas and his partner, Igor Fruman, two finer gentlemen you'll never find.
Is that the Sausage King of Chicago?
That's Abe Froman.
Oh, okay. I always get those guys confused.
That's a different movie. You're mixing up your movies.
All right. I thought that's right. Trading Places. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Fruman.
You're Froman. That's right. I'm Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Parnas and his partner Igor Fruman were detained at Dulles Airport while holding one-way tickets to Germany and charged with planning to direct funds from a Russian citizen to U.S. politicians.
No.
Today, Parnas is under house arrest, only allowed to go out to the store or walk the dog. At least he gets to walk the dog, Dom. That's more than, he's got the same life we all do during a pandemic. But let me read on. He's got 3 children at home, the youngest still in diapers, which he is changing for the first time in his parenthood. And with plenty of time to think about it, he's come to regret his time as a Trump guy. When Biden was declared the winner of the 2020 campaign, Parnas said he cried for joy, just like you, Dominic.
He cried for joy. I got emotional watching Hunter up there, and I felt so bad that I participated in helping them, he said, referring to his work with Trump allies. But it was a cult, and I was in a war. It was a bumbling war waged by a team of swaggering novices. It wasn't funny then, Parnas said, but it's hilarious. So It often goes with Trump guys whose capers might be charming if they were, say, trying to steal the rival football team's mascot rather than running the government or trying to usher the country through a deadly pandemic. When Ben Carson, Trump's Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, came down with the Rona last week, the former surgeon wasn't worried. He had a guy for that.
Now, Ben Carson, he's the Trump guy that's known as Stabby McStabberson because he bragged during his own failed presidential run.
He stabbed a guy.
I stabbed a guy.
I heard a lot about the oleander extract from Mike, Carson said in an interview. Mike is Mike Lindell, the pillow magnate who served as Trump's...
My pillow guy. Everybody knows Mike Lindell.
As Trump's campaign chairman in Minnesota.
Come on, he wears the cross, a good Christian man, and a fine pillow he makes.
Oleander extract is an unproven therapeutic remedy for the coronavirus that Lindell has been pushing, and part of a name of a band or a song, right, Brian? Carson said he took the extract, which has not been approved for such purposes by the FDA, and which experts say may be dangerous, and with hours his symptoms disappeared, to the delight of Lindell, who has a financial stake in the company that makes the extract.
What are you selling, Mr. Snake Oil?
Anybody who has ever gotten COVID and taken it, they are fine in 5 hours. And the next day, they're running around playing floor hockey in the hallway, said Lindell, who has pitched the Trump administration on its effectiveness, which, again, has not been proved.
I've never seen a random game of floor hockey break out in any hallway, COVID patients or
That's
otherwise.
why you got to take the oleander.
You
don't.
see, apparently.
I played a lot of floor hockey in school. They might have just been giving it to me in school.
Trump is not only a guy magnet, he's also an alchemist, able to turn anyone into a guy. Rex Tillerson, the former Secretary of State, was a highly successful businessman before Trump turned him into the guy who was reportedly fired while on the toilet.
I hope, of all things you could go down in history as, being fired on the toilet is not what I want to see on my gravestone or on my Wikipedia.
It's laughable.
Very Elvis of Mr. Tillerson. Spicer was a political hack with the Republican National Committee before Trump turned him into the angry guy in a too large suit lying about a too small crowd. Giuliani completed his transformation from America's mayor to Trump's guy in chief, kind of a guy father, really, presiding over the work of lesser guys like Parnas and Fruman. It's almost impossible to spend time around this president without becoming some kind of guy. And then when the president is done, Parnas said, he discards them and pretends he never knew them.
No, they could all bring him coffee.
Rudy, Michael Cohen is in many ways the OG, the original guy of the Trump universe. He began working for the Trump Organization in 2006 and for years served as an attack dog attorney in the mold of Trump's old consigliere, Roy Cohen. He facilitated hush money payments to porn stars, threatened jurists. So I'm warning you, tread very effing lightly because what I'm going to do to you is going to be effing disgusting, he told a reporter looking into reports of Trump's spousal abuse. After Trump successfully took over the GOP, Cohen served as the deputy finance chairman of the RNC.
So did Elliot Broidy.
Right. Another fine cast of characters.
The Trump guy that was dating the porn star that he paid $1 million plus to. And I thought for sure that was another payoff for Trump, but apparently it was one of Trump's guys.
Well, you never know. Might be another NDA involved there. Then referring to Michael Cohen, then federal agents raided his home and office. Then he was arrested for campaign finance violations and tax evasion and admitted in court that the president had personally directed him to help cover up a potential sex scandal. Cohen spent over a year in federal prison, emerging with chilling stories about what it's like inside for a Trump turncoat. Once, he said, after coming down with a cold, he borrowed a friend's turtleneck sweater. When I have a cold, I like my neck covered. And a Trump-loving guard made him take it off because it didn't comply with the dress code. Wait, that's it? It was actually incredibly obnoxious of him, Cohen said.
They wouldn't let him wear a cardigan in prison? How dare they? Little entitlement amongst these former Trump guys, Dom.
Trudy, when the pandemic hit, he was moved to house arrest, where the horrors of lockup now included getting irritated with his wife. Cohen said he's sorry about all he did in his Trump guy days. His penance includes starting a podcast called Mea Culpa and writing a best-selling book, Disloyal, which he's trying to turn into a movie.
That's been sort of a sub-theme today.
Would a Trump guy be even be a Trump guy if he weren't selling something? That's a great question. Books, fish oil supplements, access. In that way, Trump guys aren't altogether different from the other government guys who try to cash in on their Washington stories. Well, except that a bunch of them seem to be doing so under monitoring by law enforcement. While I was
all the best people have ankle bracelets.
All the Trump guys. While I was going through it, I went back and read a lot about Watergate. Said Rick Gates, a former deputy campaign manager for Trump, who was under house arrest for conspiracy against the United States and making false statements. I think, like most of those people who are going to be a footnote in history, but a footnote to a president who will clearly be remembered for decades to come, my goal is to get away from that kind of footnote. Other footnotes, Cody, Paul Manafort, former campaign chairman, Roger Stone, the longtime advisor, George Papadopoulos, who did a little time here in Wisconsin,
Oxford,
the foreign policy advisor, and Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor. They were all convicted of crimes too. Arrested or not, Cody, being a Trump guy can feel like something of a life sentence.
We got a little bit more here. I want to keep reading. Before he sent the infamous message to Dr. John, pardon me, let me try that again. This is obviously very high level and sensitive information, but it is part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. Before he sent that infamous message to Don Jr., Goldstone was just a publicist living in New York City. His clients included the Madison Square Boys and Girls Club, the Russian Tea Room, and the Azerbaijani pop star Emin Algorov. He first met Donald Trump and his clan while helping bring the 2013 Miss Universe pageant to Moscow with Agorov's father, Arias Agorov, as the host. That sealed his fate. Goldstone was baptized into the Brotherhood of Trump guys when his offer to help Russia help the Trump campaign made him a geopolitical person of interest. Also an object of ridicule because Goldstone was a ridiculous character. He told Trump's eldest that he had information from the crown prosecutor of Russia, even though such a person does not exist. On the day of the meeting, he brokered between a Russian lawyer and the Trump campaign officials. Goldstone checked into Trump Tower on Facebook, because of course he did, them. Can't go anywhere not check in on Facebook. The meeting itself was a buzz. Goldstone's contact had a lot more information on Russian adoptions than opposition research on the Clintons. But the fact that the meeting happened at all was a scandal. Russiagate obsesses. Looking into info on who exactly this Rob Goldstone guy was, soon found photos on social media of the publicist exhibiting a penchant for zany headgear, a pirate hat, a Carmen Miranda-style fruit basket, a crown. I have a serious question. Daily host Trevor Noah said in his segment about Goldstone, does the Trump family know anybody normal? Because everyone around them is a cartoon. Here's the conclusion. He regrets that email to Don Jr. He said, and like many of us, he's just trying to hold on to the person he was before he got wrapped up in the Trump show. I still wear silly hats, he said. I was so in prison in my own life for a few years. Gives me a sense of freedom to say, I don't care what you say about me. I'm going to wear this laurel wreath or this crown of jewels or this witch's hat. It was always supposed to be just for my friends. It was never supposed to be for millions of people.
Trump guys.
Well, Tom, this show was always about just making ourselves laugh. But now we do it for millions of people. Come back with us, all of you. 844-967-2789. The 4 o'clock happy hour continues.
We're going to be friends for a long, long period of time.
Aaron doesn't have a friend.
How could you do this to us after everything we've done for you?
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
Are you a small business owner or professional that would like to be featured in your own weekly Ask the Expert radio segment or show on Devil Radio? Let us help you in your business team with our broadcast professionals to create the right show or segment, setting you apart as the go-to professional and as an expert in your field. All shows and sponsored segments are podcasted. It will be professional broadcast quality. Packages from $395. Call Devil Radio today at 608-819-TALK.
It's getting cold out there, Wisconsin. Time to bust out your favorite flannel attire and join us on Saturday, November 21st for Flannel Fest, an online concert event raising money for the Keep Wisconsin Warm/Cool Fund, because no Wisconsinite should be without heat during the cold winter months. Flannel Fest features performances from 18 artists across the country, including Blitzen Trapper, Beth Killy Band, The Mascot Theory, and many more. Visit flannelfest.com for more details. Sponsored by Max Inc. on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Madison, tune in every weekday from 11 to 2 on Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM for the Tom Hartman program. Join the show's conversation because our democracy is not a spectator sport. Listen live right here on Devil Radio.
A progressive voice in rural Wisconsin, WTTN 1580 AM is South Central Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Kroot are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment for me. Kroot, going to bring you home to 6 o'clock in the happy hour, but you can still join us on the phones, of course, at any time at 844-967-2789. Kroot, you got some friends hanging out with you tonight.
I do. I got some fine guests joining me. Senator-elect Melissa Sargent of Madison and a fine sponsor, Patrick, our pal from over at Pegasus Games. They are keeping you safe and giving you something to do during the pandemic. Patrick, we'll catch up with him about 5:30.
Right on, man.
But Dominic, have you been injured in an election? Call Rudy Giuliani now.
I have. My arm. I think it's broken.
Alexandria Petrie over at the Washington Post. She writes some clever columns. Let's roll this one up for the end. Hi, I'm Rudy Giuliani. Have you been injured in an election? Do you think you should be president, but due to an unexpected setback, you've wound up short by thousands of votes in key states? Hire me and you'll get the settlement you deserve. And I mean the settlement you deserve. I put the personal injury and personal injury attorney. Most lawyers are chasing the ambulance and not the reverse, but I guarantee you that if you've not already suffered a strange injury, I will inflict one on your case, though my precise level of knowledge of the law, that's probably an imprecise level of knowledge of the law. Do you have a wired or weird laptop of unclear provenance? Do you need not a good lawyer, but someone who is technically a lawyer? Call me, the former mayor of New York, a man who's been a candidate for president and who once took down mobsters, but is in a different place now. Have other law firms withdrawn from your litigation on the grounds that an attempt to undermine the legitimacy of an election is not something they want to be a part of? I won't. Call me. My cell phone number is readily available, maybe too available, and I do text back even if I don't know who you are. I have almost 3 decades of experience since the last time I was in the courtroom, but my skills remain just as sharp as my understanding of the law. Please pay me $2,000 an hour. Unless you want to pay me a different amount, I'm going to leave it up to you. With me in your corner, judges will be wowed. Most judges who have had to deal with me before say they have rendered, pardon me, let me try that again. Most judges who have to deal with me so far have been rendered temporarily speechless and also made faces. I guarantee opacity is a word whose meaning will elude me when I appear in court on your behalf. Did you notice that the other day? I mean, I come upon words occasionally, opacity. I'm not familiar with the definition, but I'm not utilizing that word in my legal briefs
Well,
making
that would
arguments before the court.
But generally, that would require some sort of preparation, right? I mean, we do have a preparation for the show than Rudy Giuliani has done for that court case.
Well, I only scribbled down one sentence before we got started. I've added to the notes since then. Here is what Rudy says he will do. I guarantee opacity is a word whose meaning will elude me when I appear in court on your behalf. I will say something to the judge like, I'm not quite sure I know what opacity means. It probably means you can see, right? And then the judge will say, it means you can't. And I will say, big words, Your Honor. And that kind of legal representation you can expect from me, it's on the record. I promise that when it comes to standards of scrutiny, I will get the normal one applied to your behalf. I have never heard of strict scrutiny, and I won't ask for it. Sean Hannity thinks I'm doing a good job. Can you afford literally anyone else to represent you? Don't do that. If you aren't a lawyer yourself and don't know what a lawyer ought to sound like or basic details of the law, I bet hiring me will seem like a great idea. I'm definitely a lawyer. I have a surefire way to overturn any election result you dislike, or this isn't the Four Seasons Hotel. Call toll free now. 844-967-2789. Alexandria Petrie, a little humor,
a little snark. I love it. I really, and that compared with the Trump guys, what dead on description of what's going on right now. And on a serious note, semi-serious note, on an observation, my own personal opinion, these bastards absolutely should be marched with the beast everywhere they go from here on out. I mean, really, Rudy Giuliani is a lost freaking cause. And I get that.
Is the mark of the beast just for men? Just ask.
No, I don't believe so. I think it's GLH.
Great looking hair.
It's great looking hair. And they should pay, and they should pay a professional price for what they are doing, what they have done. I mean, you're throwing out these lawsuits. What are they, 1 in 25? I mean, statistically, I think that's the number I saw yesterday. And Curdy, you mentioned the one probably isn't even a one. And they're withdrawing cases. They withdraw the case from Michigan because what? Because they're winning?
Because I won, according to Trump's Twitter stream. We withdrew the case because I won.
There should be a price to pay for the Trump guys, above and beyond the damage they've done to this country as they pursue their professional lives made the Trump guyness, the stain, the stench, the mark of the beast. May it travel with them everywhere they go and infect everything they touch.
Kind of like this show.
Those guys, man.
We'll put the stank on you. You'll never get us off.
But it's so true. I mean, isn't it? Think about this for a minute. Everyone that goes in, and but it's the people we talk about and the characters we have discussed today. I mean, what a set of characters. I mean, this is, are they waiting on the movie? I mean, it's almost like reality television, but it's not. It's, as the article mentioned, it's not a football team trying to steal the rival's mascot. This is really about governance. And what a despicable joke these people have made of this country. And maybe we deserve it. We probably do. But how about we take it and we use it to learn. We learn from it, and we use these experiences to be a better people and be a better government. Hopefully that is what most of us will get out of it, and the rest of us will be marked with the Trump guy scar.
Too Fast, Too Furious. The movie.
Which one?
Most emblematic.
1 through 9.
Too Fast, Too Furious 45.
I know Trump is a fan of the Sicario series. He quoted it when we were talking about the caravans. He actually quoted the plot of Sicario 2 for the purposes of building a wall, which he still hasn't done, by the way. Very good job.
I think we've all seen Sicario 1, but I miss Sicario 2. Have to catch it in a theater.
Oh, it answers so many questions from Sicario 1.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Fancy Brian. Stick around. Me and Jimmy K taking you all the way to 6 o'clock, the 5 o'clock happy hour. It starts right about now. And I got a fine guest from the top. She is State Senator-elect Melissa Sargent from the fine city of Madison, Wisconsin. Also, our pal Pegasus Games Patrick. a fine sponsor. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. The Happier Happy Hour commences right now.
In prison, dinner was always a big thing. We had a pasta course, and then we had a meat or a fish.
It sounds interesting to me.
Now go home and get your f***ing shine box.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever. You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
McGuire. President-elect Joe Biden's reaction to President Trump's continued efforts to overturn the election.
It's hard to fathom how this man thinks. It's hard to fathom. I'm confident he knows he hasn't won and is not going to be able to win, and we're going to be sworn in on January 20th. And I just, but far from me to question his motive. It's just outrageous what he's doing.
Trump's legal challenges go on, and he plans to meet tomorrow with a pair of Republican leaders of the Michigan legislature. Two people familiar with the matter tell the AP that the two agreed to meet with Trump at the White House. They also publicly stated that they will not take part in any effort to use the legislature to overturn Biden's 153,000 vote win in Michigan. Members of the White House Coronavirus Task Force speak out as the pandemic surges. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the rapid development of effective vaccines against the coronavirus is due to recent research breakthroughs.
The process of the speed did not compromise at all safety, nor did it compromise scientific integrity. It was a reflection of the extraordinary scientific advances in these types of vaccines, which allowed us to do things in months that actually took years before.
The 17-year-old charged with killing two protesters in Kenosha, Wisconsin, tells the Washington Post he used pandemic stimulus money to buy the rifle used in the killings. Cal Rittenhouse says he received $1,200 after being furloughed by the YMCA where he worked in Illinois. A friend bought the rifle for him since he was underage. Rittenhouse is charged with first-degree intentional homicide and several other crimes. His lawyers say he was acting in self-defense. Wall Street shrugs off earlier losses to post modest gains. The Dow up 44, the S&P gained 14. This is AP News.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
The Centers for
Hey folks, Patrick here from Pegasus Games, here to remind you that we're open for all your at-home gaming needs, both online at pegasusgames.com or in-store from noon to 6, with extended hours on Saturday and Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to noon for high-risk customers. From our new line of puzzles to pass the time, to the perfect board game to reconnect with family and friends. Walk-ins welcome or curbside pickup available over the phone or online at pegasusgames.com. Pegasus Games, home to games you never outgrow.
Stream the Devils and progressive news and talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
I'm Alan Robinson, host of Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. I am from this city, and I am in these streets, speaking truth to power Monday through Friday about your issues. Join me from 6 to 7 p.m. on Devil Radio.
So, Darcy, it's too bad we can only meet during 30-second commercials because I have some follow-up questions for you.
Sure, Dom. I'll give you 20 seconds.
Well, you say don't call the sign to see the property with that agent, or you're not free to write an offer for me, but why? And why is it your services would be free?
Those are excellent questions, Dom, just not for a radio ad. Just go to our website
at solidarityrealty.com
and click on the orange button on the homepage that says, why not just call the sign?
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. And you won't be limited to 30 seconds. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Eric Holder, he's the former U.S. Attorney General and current chair of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee.
The notion that Scott Walker is saying that we are doing something to push partisan gerrymandering, that is the pot calling the kettle total black. I mean, that's absurd. He is one of the architects of among the most gerrymandered states in the union. All we're pushing for is a fair process come 2021.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Thursday, November 19th. The 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats on the Wisconsin Elections Commission clashed repeatedly in a late-night virtual meeting as they tried to establish guidelines spelling out how clerks should conduct the recount during the COVID-19 pandemic. At 11:30 p.m., after 5.5 hours of debate, the commission unanimously approved the recount. But the commissioner's inability to get along suggested the recount will be brutal and will likely end in a courtroom. The Wisconsin Education Association Council is asking the state for uniform rules about when schools should close. WEAC noted that some districts appear to make opening decisions not based on health metrics, but on community pressure. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We are sliding into the happier 5 o'clock happy hour, and I'm happy to announce I got a fine guest joining me right now live via phone. She is State Senator-elect Melissa Sargent. She's a friend of ours. We welcome her back. Melissa, welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
How the heck are you?
Pretty good, all things considered. Melissa, congratulations. I don't think we've talked to you since you won the primary, not officially, since you have become Senator-elect Melissa Sargent. That's got to feel good.
Isn't it exciting?
It is very exciting stuff.
Heavy weight on my shoulders, but certainly I am excited to be able to go in and do my work for the people of our state.
Well, Melissa, when you join the state Senate, obviously there's going to be plenty of challenges and plenty of hurdles, and most of them are Republican. But let's start by talking about the pandemic, if we could, Melissa. Staggering numbers. And we are in a full-blown public health crisis here in the state of Wisconsin. And it seems like that's what you should be planning for as a senator-elect. What is your impression? How do we get ahead of this thing, Melissa?
Well, frankly, people in Wisconsin tend to be pretty earnest folks. And, we look out for our families and for our neighbors. And I don't know why it's so darn hard for people to put a face mask on across the state of Wisconsin. We are losing lives at a record number in the state of Wisconsin. And our hospitals and our nurses and our doctors are stretched beyond belief right now. Typically, you would think that we would be able to follow the rules and listen to the public health experts and put our masks on and to stay home. But unfortunately, partisan rhetoric has played a role at the federal level and here in Wisconsin. So I'm pleading to the better angels of my friends and neighbors across the state to please wear their masks and please stay home. The best way to tell your friends and family that you love them over this holiday season is to say, I will see you after this pandemic is over.
Melissa, the mortality rates, the actual death figures, they're really high. 90-something deaths in the state of Wisconsin the other day, I believe over 80 again today. Melissa, as I do simple back-of-the-envelope math, we are losing something like 500 Wisconsinites per week currently to this pandemic. If we look at the highway deaths for the entire year in the state of Wisconsin, the other day it was 525. And I hear Republicans making bad analogies. If people die on the highway, we don't close the roads. No, Melissa, but we do force them to do things for public safety reasons, like wearing a seatbelt. If the death rates were like they are on the highways from this pandemic, we would certainly mandate safety precautions. Melissa, why can't we make these things stand up, things like mask mandates?
Well, unfortunately, early on in the pandemic, Robin Vos took the governor and his administration to the courts and handicapped him in his ability to empower our public health officials, to empower our scientists in helping us lead the way in a science-based manner. I remember as a kid, jarts.
I'm sorry, what's that, Melissa? Lawn jarts, did you say?
Lawn jarts, I did. And they were taken off the shelves. And I remember a crisis when it came to Tylenol. And that was taken off the shelves for quite some time. And those were for far fewer injuries and deaths. And we don't even know what the long-term effects of COVID are on people or on our kids. It hasn't existed before. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of scientists, we need to exercise the greatest caution possible. And that means wearing a mask. That's not that hard to wear a mask. And if you don't want to wear a mask, stay home.
Well, Melissa, after 7 months of legislative inaction, and of course, Republicans control both houses. They control the Assembly, they control the Senate, where you will soon join them. But Melissa, they haven't done anything in 7 months. And my understanding is Robin Vos came out and held a press conference earlier this week, but had no concrete plans, no legislative plans, nothing he could show to the media. Basically, he just wanted to have a press conference because Tony gets press conferences. Melissa, how do we force these Republicans to lead? And when faced with the propositions, the ideas of Robin Vos, the new Senate leader, Chris Kapinga from Delafield, said effectively, no, I don't even believe in those half-hearted efforts. Again, I'm very concerned. Melissa, how do we solve a problem if we have no dance partners across the aisle?
Well, frankly, again, I call to the better angels of my friends and neighbors across the great state of Wisconsin, and I ask that we all do the right thing. Clearly, we just had an election in the state of Wisconsin, and these gentlemen were reelected, despite the fact that they do not have the best interest of any Wisconsinites at heart. And in fact, people are dying at exponential rate, and it's not going to get better unless we as individuals start doing what it is that we need to be doing, wearing masks and staying home. That is what we need to do. And, frankly, it's really very frustrating and very upsetting and quite disappointing that we have not seen a change in leadership from the Republican side. I don't know what it's going to take. Is it going to take one of them losing someone who they love dearly to this pandemic before they're willing to step up and do the right thing? I certainly hope not. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because all of the people that have died in Wisconsin are people who had purpose. They were loved, and they did love. And Wisconsin is in a much harder place because they are not here with us. And, we absolutely need to do what we can as individuals. And a big thing there, and I know this is something that's important to you, is continuing to advocate and work very hard on fair and balanced redistricting, so that we don't find ourselves in this situation. Our elected officials need to represent the best interest of the people of Wisconsin, and stop falling into this path of hate and rhetoric and partisanship.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine guest live via phone. She is State Senator-elect Melissa Sargent from Madison. Melissa, let's assume there is a willingness and eventually the better angels are heard from on the Republican side and a sufficient number come to the negotiating table. What sort of economic relief can the state of Wisconsin offer its citizens at this point? And do we have the resources currently available without additional federal dollars to offer any sort of substantial relief?
Well, certainly I am heartened by the fact that we do have a new president coming on board, and I do know that he and his administration will prioritize COVID action, COVID relief, and life-saving action, not only for our small businesses, but for our friends, neighbors, and family members. And that will come and have a positive impact on the state of Wisconsin. Here in Wisconsin, we do have a healthy rainy day fund. And if a global pandemic is not a rainy day, I don't know what is. It is time for us to make sure that we are standing on the side of our small business owners, of our main streets, and of our friends and neighbors, and making sure that, that they are able to be successful, that they will be whole after this, and that we as a state will be able to move forward.
Melissa, I want to turn this topic a little bit. Obviously, a recount going to happen in earnest in the state of Wisconsin beginning tomorrow, but not the entirety of the state, just Dane and Milwaukee counties. And theoretically, if Donald Trump and his legal team get what they want, perhaps all the absentee votes thrown out in Dane County, they're not just challenging the Trump election or the lack thereof in the state of Wisconsin, but theoretically, Melissa, they could be attacking the validity, the credibility of your election. I want to get your opinion about this entire recount effort.
Well, frankly, the cornerstone of our democracy is the promise of fair and free elections in our country. And all of these claims by the Trump administration are unfounded. And frankly, they are quite dangerous to not only the state of Wisconsin, to Dane County, but to our nation. And paying attention and giving validity to such dangerous anti-democratic fear mongering and hate is anti-American, and I can't think of anything else more concerning. At the same point, I do know that the ability to audit an election and to make sure that it was run in a fair and free way is something that we should always welcome. And I know that here in Dane County, our clerk, Scott McDonald, is prepared, and he has a wide swath of people who are raising their hands and are ready to help. People from all sides of the different political affiliations. And I am confident that after the recount is over, that we're going to be able to see that our local clerks, our local volunteers and poll workers who were earnest and went to work on election day for us and provided us with this ability are going to be vindicated, and our election results will not change drastically.
Melissa, we've got about 90 seconds left, but I want to express, it's my impression. Donald Trump doesn't want an accurate recount. He lost. He's looking for a lawsuit that allows him to get into the state courts and perhaps before the conservative block of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Melissa, do you have any concerns that the Wisconsin Supreme Court could try to overturn the outcome of Wisconsin's presidential?
I believe that despite the fact that I don't agree with all the decisions that are made by the folks that sit on our Supreme Court, I do believe that those people believe in our Constitution. And if in fact this is the direction that Mr. Trump intends to go on, I do believe that each of those people values and honors the Constitution of Wisconsin and the Constitution of the United States of America, and that our election results will end up being certified as they are.
Well, I'm less reassured about Rebecca Bradley, but I do certainly appreciate you joining me here. Melissa Sargent, State Senator-elect Melissa Sargent, thanks for coming around. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You as well. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. The 5 o'clock happier hour continues. Do you know the Devil's Advocate started as a podcast, just two buddies talking into an iPad because we thought we had something to say? Do you have something to say? Let Devil Radio guide you. Launch your own broadcast quality podcast. Utilize our studios and staff, our hosting platform, and we will even promote your podcast on Devil Radio. Monthly packages start at just $295. Devil Radio's podcast platform to launch immediately after the election. Call today to learn more. 608-819-TALK.
We did it. All across this nation, voters like you turned out in record numbers to elect Joe Biden. Now, it's time to come together to address the issue that matter most, tackling climate change, expanding access to healthcare, ensuring racial justice, and putting Americans back to work. Text ACT to 668366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Hold.moveon.org not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Jimmy, crazy local music supporters have surrounded the studio. Take a look.
What do the signs say?
Support local music, double dipping is a right, and I love the Jimmies.
What do they want?
Live local music, Jimmy. Catch MagSync Radio every Saturday evening for the best of local music from Wisconsin. Live music performed in the Devil's Lair. Go to MagSyncRadio.com for the live music schedule. It's MagSync Radio, Saturdays at 6 on Devil Radio 92.7.
Give them what they want, rocker. The Lazy Oaf Lounge is Madison's East Side place for friends and family. Whether it's for lunch or dinner, you know you're in for a tasty treat. Awesome apps, burgers, pizza, and the best fish fry in Madison. And join us to cheer on the green and gold with 50-cent wings, beer bucket specials, and free Jell-O shots with every Green Bay touchdown. Plenty of TVs inside or out on the patio. The Lazy Oaf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road, and online at lazyoaflounge.com.
Quit surfing the dial. You already found the greatest radio station ever, Devil Radio, on 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Wreaking havoc on America, just like they wreaked havoc on Wisconsin. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the 5 o'clock happier happy hour, the Thursday edition. It continues. I want to thank our most recent guest, the fine one, Melissa Sargent. She's a friend of ours and a state senator-elect. Can't wait to drop the elect part. She'll take office on January 4th, if my memory serves. Coming up soon, we've got Patrick from Pegasus Games going to catch up with a local small businessman, a fine sponsor of this program. And you can always be a part at 844-967-2789. The recount in the state of Wisconsin, it's supposed to take or get underway tomorrow in earnest. But I want to update you. This article just dropped at the Journal Sentinel. Patrick Marley and Molly Beck. President Donald Trump, for now, is seeking a recount in 2 Wisconsin counties. But what's he really doing? Preparing for a lawsuit. Why? Trump could see a long shot chance of getting multiple states to change their vote totals, or a legal challenge could provide Trump fodder to keep his base revved up for the 2024 run. God, don't let that happen. Alleging the long-standing process of electing presidents that delivered former VP Joe Biden a victory was unfair. The recount petition he filed Wednesday asked to throw out 2 broad swaths of votes in the state's 2 most Democratic counties, something the county clerks there are sure to reject. But by pursuing the recount, Trump has given himself a vehicle for a lawsuit, and that would likely go before a judge by early December. It could quickly get to the state Supreme Court, where the conservatives hold a 4-3 majority. This is my concern. The influence of the high court would be felt from the start. Under state law, Supreme Court Chief Justice Patience Roggensack would get to choose which judge initially hears a recount lawsuit. She will also get to select the court that hears any appeals. Democrats called Trump's arguments against counting some ballots baseless and said clerks were unlikely to accept his claims when they begin recounting votes on Friday. But they also expressed worries that the state's high court, which has a history of siding with Republicans, because they're hacks, could go along with the request to toss ballots in Milwaukee and Dane counties and shift the state's 10 electoral votes from Biden to Trump. A court changing the result of an election that was decided by more than 20,600 votes would be extremely rare. There is no guarantee that justices would agree with Trump. Even if they did, changing Wisconsin's results wouldn't be enough to take away the presidency from Biden because of the victories in other states. At a late night meeting Wednesday to authorize the recount, Democrats and Republicans on the state elections committee could agree on little other than the fact that the recount is heading to court. Here's a quote. "This is going to be for the courts to decide. I don't believe it's for us to decide," Republican Commissioner Dean Knudsen told his colleagues. Well, if it ain't you, Dean, well, of course, he gave us the response, then the courts, right? Kyle Kondik, managing editor of Sabato's Crystal Ball at the University of Virginia Center for Politics, said even if Wisconsin judges took the rare action, and don't hold your breath that they won't, folks, the rare action of reversing the state's election outcome, Trump would need 2 more states to follow suit in an effort to deliver him a second term. Again, here's a quote. Let's say they could get a lawsuit into the Wisconsin Supreme Court that would flip the election. That would, to me, be unprecedented in modern times. Again, don't bet against the Wisconsin Supreme Court conservatives. But here's the quote. Something like that happening, given the number of votes involved, there would not only need that in one state, they would need that in multiple states. Kondik said that Wisconsin's effort could be about laying the groundwork for a 2024 campaign, but that Trump would likely make the case the election was rife with fraud regardless. He's behaving exactly the way I expected him to behave. You could see it coming from a mile away. He questioned the integrity of the last election. He won, Kondik said, of the 16 race. He's already alleging those things, and whether there's a recount in Wisconsin or not wouldn't change that sort of rhetoric. I think the president's rhetoric is irresponsible and not based in reality in a lot of ways. But just like any other losing candidate, he has the right to abide by the rules. Jeffrey Mandel, a Madison attorney who has represented Democrats in election cases, said he thought that Trump's arguments lacked merit. Judges may quickly find that Trump took too long to file a legal challenge if he focused on practices that have been in place for years, Mandel said. But he noted no one ever knows what will happen when a case, especially a high-stakes political one, is put before a court, especially the Wisconsin Supreme Court controlled by the conservative branch. Anytime you take things to court, you're putting things into the hands of a small number of individuals who could do almost anything. And I think that's part of what's going on with Trump's legal strategy, said Mandel, who last month launched Law Forward, a legal center focused on election issues. Barry Burton, director of the Elections Research Center at the UW-Madison, said the recount effort is clearly not actually about changing the election result given the margin. Instead, he said Trump's goal could be to put a cloud over the election results, raise suspicions, and lay groundwork for the future. His quote, "He's soothing his ego. He's shaping his legacy. I think he's protecting his brand also. He wants to leave office and do something," Burton said. So you can see why he would want to leave and not be deemed a loser, but why other people in his party and leadership are aiding and abetting. This is really mysterious. Is it mysterious? I don't think it's that mysterious. Wisconsin Republicans have at least endorsed the idea of a recount. Some have supported Trump's allegation of fraud or irregularities without evidence. Burton said the allegiance, despite evidence debunking Trump's allegations, is likely because Trump still has a significant influence in the Republican Party. One more quote. There are a lot of voters out there who are enthusiastic about Trump, so Republicans need to keep winning those votes to win their seats, he said. I'm back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Going to catch up with a fine sponsor, Patrick, our pal from Pegasus Games. The pandemic gets in full effect. Take home a board game. It's almost Christmas. We'll give you some bright ideas. Patrick from Pegasus Games. More Devil's Advocates. The 5 o'clock happy hour. It continues after this short break.
Like, wow, Scoob, it's Devil Radio. Rebel Radio?
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Stream the Devils and Progressive News and Talk 24/7 at the Devil's Advocates Radio Network, Wisconsin. That's DARNWI.com. That's DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest.
Steps up his criticism. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President-elect Joe Biden is running out of patience as President Trump still refuses to accept the results of the election and continues his efforts to undermine those results.
Hang on, I'm on my way. That's what I say to them.
Biden adds that Trump is not only damaging the nation, he's wrecking his own legacy.
Another incident where he will go down in history as being one of the most irresponsible presidents in American history.
Trump has filed numerous failed legal challenges to state and local election results. He plans to meet tomorrow with a pair of GOP leaders from the Michigan legislature. Two sources confirm the meeting, which could be about a long shot push to circumvent Biden's 153,000 vote win in the state and have the legislature name electors loyal to Trump. The two leaders previously said they will not consider such action. Trump has also paid for recounts in two heavily Democratic counties in Wisconsin. I'm Tim McGuire.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So what do you provide? Cookie cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines for Thursday, November 19th. After sparking confusion about what exactly is not allowed under a new order issued Tuesday, Public Health Madison and Dane County clarified Wednesday that its new ban on mass indoor gatherings effectively means residents are barred from getting together indoors with anybody they don't live with, no matter the size of the group. The order that went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday continues all of the previous restrictions announced in September, including a mask mandate and limiting business capacity to 50%. President Donald Trump's campaign on Wednesday triggered a recount in heavily Democratic Dane and Milwaukee counties, alleging a host of irregularities despite state officials denying any evidence of widespread problems. Partly cloudy skies throughout the area today. High of 63 degrees, low of 40 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about. Tom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the 5 o'clock happy hour, the Thursday edition. It continues. And I'm joined live in studio by another fine guest, Patrick from Pegasus Games, one of our fine sponsors. Patrick, welcome back.
Thanks, Mike. I'm happy to be back.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. Obviously, it is troubling times that we're currently all living through. Always got to start with this open-ended question. How's business, Patrick?
Business is pretty good. We've gotten a just amazing response from the community over the last couple months here. One of the beautiful things about my business is it brings people together. We have board games, we host events. So we really get that personal touch and connection with our customers, and it's reciprocated and responded. So overall, we've been doing pretty well.
Let's start by promoting the store. For those unfamiliar with Pegasus Games, where are you located and what are the current store hours operating during the pandemic?
Absolutely. We're located at 6640 Odana Road, which is just off of Gammon, and it's in the Market Square Shopping Center. Our current store hours is we are open Monday through Friday, noon to 6, and then, noon to 8. Monday through Friday, noon to 8, and Saturday and Sunday, it's noon to 6.
Now, Patrick, I know that in-store game playing was a big part of why people love coming to Pegasus Games.
Absolutely.
And these are difficult times, hard to bring a crew together. How have you replaced that? Is there virtual gaming? Is there any way for people to get this experience of camaraderie in the game playing aspect during the current circumstance?
Yeah, it's a really hard time right now for that. All sorts of D&D groups and Magic groups. They're just
Dungeons and Dragons for the
Dungeons and Dragons. They're having a harder time getting together. Fortunately, there are a lot of great resources online that allow us to kind of host events or host game groups where we can get our customers involved again. So we're reaching out and we're staying connected, but with the game room being closed because of the epidemic, that's about all the more we can really do at the time.
How about when people want to come to the store? I know you mentioned 12 to 8 on weekdays and 12 to 6, I believe you said, on the weekends.
Yep.
Do you ever have capacity issues with the store?
Not really. We're allowed 10 people in our store, and although they do spend a little bit of time in and out, we see good foot traffic, but I haven't really run into any problems with capacity. Again, reaching to the community, how they're so receptive. A lot of times people will just open the door and ask, hey, are you guys full? Can I come in? And we're just like, yeah, absolutely. Come on in.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine sponsor and guest live in studio here in Madison with me. It's Patrick from Pegasus Games, right over here on Odana Road on the west side. And Patrick, it's almost the holiday season.
It is.
Whether
excited.
People celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is the Dominic's family celebrates, gift giving tends to come with this time of year. And people are obviously looking for creative gifts. And I love that board games allows anyone willing to take part and participate. It gives you a great social interaction. I mean, my poor kids have been home since March. We don't even have school days now. They're virtual. The kids are always bored now. Patrick, board games, what are the hot games for Christmas this year?
Hot games for Christmas. Well, Wingspan is still really popular.
I'm sorry, what's that called?
Wingspan. Wingspan is a wonderful little engine building game where you're trying to raise and farm and collect as many and different types of cool birds as you can in your yard. So you start with eggs and you place them and you draw more birds and you have to try and ration your food, make sure they don't fight. But it's a lot of fun. Catan is always super popular. It is just tried and true. It sells well. It's an amazing game to play. It has a ton of expansions. Magic has always been popular. D&D has really taken off lately. But if looking just for a cool new gift, we have all sorts of 2-player games. We just expanded our 2-player section because people are stuck at home.
Give a few examples. I can think of chess and checkers, but I'm sure there's others.
Chess and checkers, absolutely. Those are the classics. But we have all sorts of 2-player dungeon crawls. We have 2-player deck building games. We have Targi, which is a really good economy-based game.
I'm sorry, what's it? Say that again.
It's called Targi. Targi is Targi. It's a little weird, but it is an economy-based game where you're trying to corner markets and outvalue your opponent.
Now, Patrick, I know we aren't really talking politics, but do you see any sort of political gravitation towards the games? Are the Trumpsters, do they all play Monopoly, or the Joe Biden supporters, do they all play Battleship? Any political sorting of the peoples?
That's really funny food for thought. I guess I hadn't put too much into it, but not that I'm aware of. I could see that though. That's pretty funny.
Folks, Devil's Advocates, our fine guest and sponsor, Patrick from Pegasus Games over here on the west side, Odana Road. And they've got lots of hours, noon to 8 o'clock on weeknights. You can still get out there this evening. You can start looking for Christmas. And Patrick, do you find games are mostly appealing to the kids? Like, I've got teenagers at home and they were great about games, and now I got to kind of pull them into games. But my 26-year-old, when she comes home, loves the board games. Is there age brackets that we see more participation, or more of your customers coming from certain age demographics?
It's actually one of my favorite questions I get in the store a lot, because the beauty of games is there's no age limit on it. You can be as young or as old and everyone can play together. Usually when people get into their teens up until early 20s, they stop playing as much. They're more about going out, being social. They had those board
good luck
games
with that
with grandma, and then they grew out of those before they find their own new ones that they like. So I would say teenagers play the least, but not really. We span all demographics and all ages.
Now, my kids have gotten into the video games like many troubled teens do. Do you find that people are incorporating more of the electronics into the game playing, the fantasy games, or any of the games, really?
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of cross there. There are actually a line of new games that just came out. One of them is called Stop Thief. It's part of a interactive board game where you have to download an app and you play a video game on your phone, which affects the board as you're playing. So it's a cool little idea. It just came out this year, but we're starting to see crosses more often. There are things that were originally board games that are now being made into video games. Or, for example, Dark Souls, a very popular video game, has now been made into a dungeon crawl board game.
Oh, no kidding. The one that comes immediately to mind, Patrick, is Pokemon.
Yes.
And the reality is there's a Pokemon spot. I live across from a park in Middleton, and apparently there must be a Pokemon that hangs out there. First and foremost, for anyone that doesn't know what that means, can you explain that concept? People looking for Pokemon characters out in the park?
Yeah, when people are looking for Pokemon characters, they're probably playing Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is a really fun game that allows you to go out and explore the world, collect Pokemon, catch them, battle against other people, put them in gyms. The cool part of that is you actually have to go out and do it with your phone. But Pokemon as a whole has just been through the roof lately. It's so incredible. It's so popular. The attention that it's been drawing has just increased immensely in the last 6 months. Pokemon is selling out right away. We're getting all sorts of new kids to play, which is really exciting. It's a exciting and fun time for Pokemon.
Now, my 14-year-old was a Pokemon kid and now has sort of gravitated away, but recently, in an entrepreneurial sort of spirit, has noticed there's been a premium on the Pokemon cards, and now he's start considering selling off part of his collection. But explain that concept to me, Patrick. I've obviously aged out on the Pokemon, apparently.
Yeah.
But what's going on with the Pokemon cards? Why are they increasing in value like they're collectibles?
They have, especially in the last couple months here. There are a couple different reasons for that. The Pokemon market changed in the trading card game when there was a gentleman who purchased a ton of Pokemon product. It was like $700,000 worth of old product, and he opened it and he reintroduced it to the market, which changed the market quite a bit. Not only is that cool, that's fun and exciting to watch someone open something 20 years old, so it draws attention to it, and then social media, it snowballs, and Pokemon's a very lovable thing, so it's easy to sell. It's easy for people to get involved, and it's just kind of gone up and up and up. When Pokemon first came out 20 some years ago, kids would have been playing. Those kids are now at the age where they're nostalgic and wanting to collect those cards again. So you put everything together and those stocks have just been going up.
Now, when you talk about the investor, gamer, or whoever it was that invested in so many of these Pokemon cards and opened them up, you're talking about literally the packs of cards.
Yep. You would
kind of like the old
pack.
baseball cards once upon a time.
Exactly. Yep.
Now, do the Pokemon cards come with the stale piece of chewing gum like my old baseball cards did?
They do not. No, but they do come with a little token.
Oh, okay. So there's something in it for the kids.
If you get an Elite Trainer box, you get sleeves in a box and everything. Yeah.
An elite trainer box.
But no gum.
No gum. Oh, that's good. I don't need the gum, and my kid's got too many cavities. Folks, you aren't listening to the Devil's Advocates. My pal Patrick, a fine sponsor from Pegasus Games, talking about some of the fine offerings over at Pegasus Games on Odana Road. So the Pokemon you can either play on your phone, and I got to tell you, it has changed the traffic patterns.
Oh, it really has.
I've seen people every day, they pull over right in front of my house. And my wife thinks they're trying to jump on the Wi-Fi. I'm like, honey, it's not the Wi-Fi. They're here for Pokemon.
They're here for Pokemon.
But it's grown-ups. I'm really surprised at the age demographics. It's a lot of adults. I didn't expect that so much. But we see lots of adults pull up and they pull out their phones, and they're not returning emails at that little port of call.
Yep.
They're Pokemoning.
They're Pokemoning. When the game first came out and I knew nothing about spawn spots or how it worked, I ended up driving into the middle of a field and I walked into the woods because I'm like, there's got to be Pokemon in the woods. And I had no idea where it was. I was looking around and I ran into a gentleman who was like 45 doing the exact same thing in the middle of the woods.
And you guys were looking for
we were both looking for the same Pokemon.
And are these things geo-mapped, or how do the Pokemon, they stay put, right? They don't
for the most part, they're on
a
timer, but it's based on cell service. So where there's a lot of cell service, they will spawn there.
I gotcha. Now, for my 14-year-old's sake, should he be looking to sell off his cards now? Is this a unique time in Pokemon card history?
That's a good question. The generic answer is yes. Pokemon are at a higher value rate than they have ever been since they have been released. It's hard to say if they'll continue to go up, or as all good things do, if it will slowly come crashing back down. It's kind of if you think you might play with your cards, if you think you might actually get value out of them, and if they're nostalgic and you want to keep them, I always recommend that. I always encourage taking care of and keeping your cards. But if you are looking to get rid of them, now is the time.
Let me ask you, I heard you mention Dungeons and Dragons at least a couple times. And I played that. It's been 30 years or more, but I tried playing that when I was a teenager. And one of the biggest challenges was the time commitment. I mean, if you're doing Dungeons and Dragons, you're in for the day, and you're making a day out of it.
Yeah.
And perhaps an all-nighter out of it as well, at least if you're having fun and being creative and imaginative. But, I find myself a little busier as an adult, and the kids want to play a game occasionally, or mom and dad try to talk them into playing a game. What do you recommend? Fun games of like 30 minutes or less?
30 minutes or less, quick games. Ticket to Ride comes to mind immediately. It's an amazing family board game. It's about getting trains and connecting them across the map to different stations. And you have like the USA or Europe or Japan. And it's challenging because you have to try and connect yours, but everybody else does too. And if you get in their way or they get in yours, then you have to go around. So it's strategy on stopping them while getting to you. It's like 30 to 45 minutes, but that is the first one that comes to mind. Secondly, I would probably recommend Dominion. It's a deck building card game that only takes about a half hour to play. It's in-depth and has more strategy. It's intuitive and easy to learn, but it gets more fun as you learn more. So it's a game that you can play multiple times.
So I guess the flip side of that question for the long haulers out there that got a whole weekend to kill and nowhere to go.
Yeah.
What are some of the longer time commitment games that you particularly like, Patrick?
Some of the longer commitment games I really like is I love Catan. I know I've said it a couple times here, but you throw the expansions in, they can take up to a couple hours. That one is a ton of fun. If you get into some of the bigger dungeon crawls like Twilight Armada and Twilight Imperium, and some of the D&D board games, those can take hours, but they are a lot of fun. Pandemic is one I should mention because we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's so funny. This game, you are a team of crime-fighting scientists, and you're trying to stop the world from an epidemic. It's a cooperative game, but it takes about 30 to 45 minutes as well.
And can I play as Dr. Fauci?
You could rename your character. Yeah, absolutely.
Patrick from Pegasus Games, we thank you so much for your sponsorship. We look forward to patronizing your place between now and Christmas. The kids are going to need some new games. Tell them once again about the website and where to find Pegasus Games, please.
Pegasus Games is found at 6640 Odana Road, just off Gammon on the Market Square Shopping Center. And our game website is pegasusgames.com.
Pegasus Games. Go have some fun this winter. It's the only fun you might have. Thank you so much, Patrick. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, the happier 5 o'clock happy hour It continues. Phone lines open. Your calls welcome. 844-967-2789.
Freak out. Anime number 9.
This is Tony with Quality CBD. We are located on Willie Street across from the co-op. At Quality CBD, we are vertically integrated. From soil to oil and seed to sale, we grow, extract, manufacture, and distribute quality CBD oil. We also have contact-free delivery options at qualitycbd.org. Quality CBD. Legal, local, legit.
Hey, Rocker, I heard you have a rye whiskey.
I do, Jimmy. Rocker Rye Whiskey. The mash is a high rye with a touch of malted barley that makes it yummy.
And Rocker Rye Whiskey is dedicated to the Madison music scene?
It sure is, Jimmy. You can read the story on the back of the bottle at any of these fine locations. Star Liquor, Woodman's, Trixie's Liquor, Vic Pierce, Miller & Sons in Verona, Steve's Liquor, Total Wine, and enjoy Rocker Rye Whiskey at the Lazy Oaf Lounge and Sal's Dark Horse. Find out more at rockervodka.com.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
First, the Devil's Advocates made radio great again. Now the Devil's Advocates are making radio greater again. The Devil's Advocates are expanding the greatest radio show ever from 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays. Dom and Fancy Brian will kick off the political party at 2. Crudy will help you celebrate the 5 o'clock happy hour. More snark, more politics, more callers, more Devil's Advocates. Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. only on Devil Radio and always streaming live at DARNWI.com.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, McFarland's choice for essential radio.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. I want to thank our fine sponsor, Pegasus Games, Patrick from Pegasus Games. And something I should have reminded or brought up with Patrick. I'll bring it up right now. The Black Friday sale. Well, it is a Black Friday week. You can enjoy Black Friday at Pegasus Games beginning November 22nd and stretching all the way until November 28th and get 10% off everything in the store except for new releases and card singles. And here's the super duper deal and a lot of fun too. If you show up for the Pegasus Games Black Friday sale in your pajamas, and that's pretty much everyone right now, everyone working from home in the pandemic, you're wearing them all day long. I see you people in public. You're still visible in your cars, even though you're wearing your PJs. But if you show up at the Pegasus Games in your pajamas, 20% off. What a deal. So thank you, Pegasus Games. Please support our fine sponsors around here. We appreciate when you do. And gaming. You know, there's only so much you can do right now to enjoy your friends and family, and certainly a board game is one of those fine activities. Thank you to Patrick and all the fine folks over at Pegasus Games. And I want to thank a lot of fine folks. You know, there have been a lot of people that have been supporting this fine radio station of late. We appreciate you doing so. I want to acknowledge all the contributions that have been going to the GoFundMe page, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin. And certainly the pandemic affects all our small business sponsors, and we appreciate those doing okay in the pandemic, but it's hard. It's a limiting factor in the way that we all do business. So for so many of you that have been generous with your contributions at GoFundMe, Keep Resistance Radio in Wisconsin, let me personally say thank you. You are extending the longevity of this fine radio program and the station, and we're hoping it's someday in the foreseeable future, you know, we move beyond the pandemic. Maybe it'll be the vaccines, or maybe Republicans come to their senses and start wearing masks in public. It won't just be us Biden supporters out there doing it. But ultimately, in the meantime, we appreciate the help. We appreciate the contributions. What you do is keeping us, on the airwaves and hopefully relevant and continuing to concentrate on what we try to do best, which is tell you the truth each and every day. I want to come back to the Trump recount / lawsuit in the making. Probably the rationale behind the recount, and Trump obviously deposited about $3 million, but is only seeking a recount in two Wisconsin counties, Milwaukee and Dane. And here are what they are trying to argue, which they hope will end up before the Wisconsin Supreme Court and maybe give the conservative justices rationale to overturn the will of the people and democracy. Well, here are the legal arguments. Witness addresses. To be valid, absentee ballots in Wisconsin must come in an envelope that is signed by a voter and a witness and include the witness's address. In cases where witnesses don't provide their addresses, clerks, plural, have been allowed to fill in addresses if they know the information from talking to the voter, talking to the witness, or looking at the voter rolls, tax databases, or other information. That policy was set 4 years ago under guidance pushed by Republicans on the Elections Commission at the time, including Stephen King, who Trump later named as U.S. ambassador to the Czech Republic. Trump didn't dispute the state's witness policy when he narrowly won Wisconsin in 2016, but he now says it's illegal. He argues only voters or witnesses can write in the address. Clerks say witnesses often forget to fill out their address or fail to supply part of it, such as the city or zip code. In many cases, the witness is the spouse of the voter and lives at the same address. There's also the issue of indefinitely confined voters. This one's got me a little concerned. Most voters must provide a photo ID to get an absentee ballot, but those who identify themselves as indefinitely confined do not. This spring, Dane County Clerk Scott McDonnell and Milwaukee County Clerk George Christensen suggested voters could label themselves as indefinitely confined if they're staying at home because of the coronavirus pandemic. The state Republican Party sued, and the state Supreme Court, the ones I'm worried about, found the advice was faulty. The clerks rescinded their advice and pointed voters to guidance from the Elections Commission that noted it's up to voters to determine themselves whether they're indefinitely confined. But 215,000 voters statewide called themselves indefinitely confined from the November 3rd election, up from 72,000 in a lower turnout election for state Supreme Court last year. So tripled the number of those people self-defining as indefinitely confined. And I would guess the vast number of those people are Joe Biden voters. Because, of course, Donald Trump's telling his people you can't trust the mail-in, you can't trust the postal service. So in all probability, when you're talking about any challenges, the absentee voters or their witnesses or whether or not they've properly loaded an ID, Trump wants to throw out all the absentee voters because they overwhelmingly voted against Trump. Here's more from the article. Trump argues the ballot should be thrown out for voters who say they are indefinitely confined if they don't meet the criteria. He hasn't said how that would be determined for thousands of voters, like 215,000 voters. And of course, the final issue, absentee ballot applications. State law requires those who vote by mail, those who vote in person early to apply for absentee ballots in writing. In an apparent reference to those who voted early in person in Milwaukee, Trump contends more than 60,000 voters in the state's most populous county didn't submit written applications. Those voters signed a statement on their ballot envelope that is labeled absentee ballot application certification. That document has been treated as an application for absentee ballot for more than a decade around the state, according to elections officials. And is it going to end up in a lawsuit? Probably. The Democratic county clerks and their boards of canvassers are unlikely to give Trump much ground as they recount the vote. Their review is expected to change the totals only slightly, but not enough to change the outcome. A 2016 recount in the presidential contest shifted 131 votes, nowhere near what Trump would need this time. But during or after the recount, Trump can head to court if he doesn't like the determination of the canvassers. That's probably the plan, folks. Allies of Trump have compared the 2020 election outcome to the 2000 contest between Al Gore and W, a Republican who ultimately was named the winner of the contest. But the situations are different. Are they? The Wisconsin Supreme Court, will they have the final say on the will of the electors in the state of Wisconsin? That's what Trump is hoping for. That's his only plausible path at this late hour. So anyways, that's the plan. I hope he's not successful, but we'll see. We'll see. Thank you all for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Always appreciate when you join us. Now 4 hours each afternoon, 2 to 6 p.m. Stick around for our pal, Alan Robinson, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Want to thank my fine guests. They included Patrick from Pegasus Games and Melissa Sargent. But when she's seated in the State Senate come January, she will be State Senator Melissa Agard. We thank you for listening. Stick around. Alan Robinson, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood is next.
Biden won because of you. Because you stayed in line to vote even when you got tired. Because you knew that your vote is power. Because you understood what was at stake. And because you showed up, we now have the power. Text ACT to 668-366 to join the Move On movement to build an America for all. MoveOn.org. Political action paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Once a client has a personal injury and they contact us, we sit down with them as early as possible to ascertain not only how the injury happened and all the facts of the accident, but also how the injury is going to affect their life in the long run.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton & Cates.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus and W224EG 92.7 FM Madison. Always streaming at Talk 92.7 FM.
I'm Tim McGuire. President-elect Joe Biden says President Trump is showing why history will regard him as the nation's most irresponsible president. Sagar Vagani has more.
Biden paused several times in saying it's hard to fathom how the president thinks.
I'm confident